Welcome to the Morning Skate, episode 278, joined by your host, Ked, my co-host, Brownie. And Brownie, do you hear that music?
I do. I hear the entrance music.
I think Hal's here. Hal, what's been going on, bud?
Not much, boys. It's good to be back. I kind of feel like that kid that graduates high school, and then he's like not even doing anything sick. He's in like community college, and he pulls up in front of the seniors at the school and starts talking about his memories. You know what I mean?
And talk about my 18 and 19-year-old years of my life. Is that what you're doing, or
just a lot of nostalgia.
I feel like Ked 10 years ago. Yeah.
So what you're saying is, no matter how old you get, me and Ked stay the same age. All right, like that.
Party at Billingsley's house. It's got to be there. We're gonna get wasted. All right, so Hal's here, Brownie's here. We have a big podcast to talk about. The NHL Trade Deadline came, it went, and boy, did it come hard. Ayo. But Brownie, how you doing, buddy? How are you doing? How's your week?
Good. We have first, before we forget, we finally got around to figuring out this whole puck cups thing. What they decided to do was, due to overwhelming demand, they decided to draw 3 people's names, and we're going to announce them, and they're going to be getting in touch to send them puck cups. Look at that. The first one is at Chine_Fina. The other one is at N Carpenito. And then the last one is at Gabby__Gibson. So congratulations on winning puck cups. Thank you to Puck Cups for doing this giveaway, and enjoy a frosty beverage of your choice out of your new puck cup when it arrives.
We like frosty bags. Frosty bags are where it's at.
Other than that, the biggest thing that happened to me was inadvertently this afternoon, I conducted a Northeastern interview. It's no spoilers, right? Because we want to get the things in. But the player had to do it at noon today, so I was home at noontime, and my neighbor texted me and was like, "Hey, Brownie, by any chance are you home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, bud?" His father-in-law had fallen and literally fell and couldn't get up.
So you had to leave the guy there until you were done with the interview?
Yeah, right. Luckily, he called me earlier, and I went and had to call 911 and everything. And I told the player when she got on, I'm like, the butterfly effect. You may have saved someone's life today by coming on the podcast. So,
wow, dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have thought about that. Great movie, by the way. One that I recommended to you that you watched. Very, very good. Good film.
Here.
Before we kind of get started, I just want everybody to know, for the next hour and a half of your time, you're probably going to hear me get ganged up on by a couple of fucking massholes. It's gonna be relentless. I know I have it coming to me, but I'm gonna power through. I'm gonna do it for the listeners that have listened to us throughout all these years. So, and I have a pretty funny story when we get to my zeros of the week. George Parros, if you're listening, I'm still waiting for a call back.
Oh my God. I forgot about that. Yeah.
We'll get into that. But why don't we just kind of hop right into it?
I have 2 messages for Hal, though, before we go.
What'd you say?
I have 2 messages for Hal. First one's from our Dallas writer, Fink. High energy Hal is back, baby, was his message.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Am I actually high energy? Or
No,
you're not.
No.
You're not high energy.
Not at all. No.
Yeah, like
really?
people. Yeah, dude, you're not. Who's the wrestler that used to run down to the ring with like all like the face paint? You're not the Ultimate
Warrior.
Yeah, you're not.
The Ultimate Warrior was fueled by cocaine, I believe.
Yeah.
I know, like, me as a human is low energy, but I always thought, like, Ked always made me feel like I was going cross-eyed and I wanted to, like, throw something, but I guess that just never came across.
No, I also think that he says that because if you watch this on YouTube, like, you see how Brownie and I are kind of like back a little bit, and like you're always right there. And I think
I don't have like a legitimate setup. I have my office chair that squeaks a little bit. Like, I got the blurred background. You guys have like professional back.
Well, you're a fucking homeowner now, by the way. 2 claps for fucking Hal. We'd love to hear that. A lot of things going on in your life right now, dude.
Also, people probably, could figure this one out too. But old hockey trick, it also hides the double chin a little bit when you're up close. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Maybe I lost 15. I probably didn't. But
well, hey, I actually have one of these laptop stands, so I'm angled down. So I'm always kind of this is where it's at.
Classic.
And then Disco had a message for you. I know you're gonna love to hear this.
The rivalry going again.
how much man juice has he donated based on how stacked the Bruins are now. So that's pretty good from Disco.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest though. Like Disco knows the Caps are out, right? So now all of a sudden he's kind of being a nice guy. Like he still got his jab in, but like Disco when the Caps are up 3-1 in the first round's a different Disco than right now.
That is
fair.
true.
Fair point.
And hey, but shout out to Cronin because at least somebody's writing about the Caps. He came out with a really nice Ovechkin blog yesterday. 4,000.
I believe the term is it went nuclear.
It went nuclear. So shout out. I mean, dude, we should get Patty on the podcast here coming up because this kid, he's texting me every other day. He's like, I think I should write this blog. I'm like, do it. And then he does it.
I think you should use him as like a Doberman. And if someone's not producing blogs, you send Patty at his team.
He could be Morning Skates Rico Bosco.
I don't know who that is.
It's a Barstool Sports reference.
Oh, that's the kid with the through the can, right? He's got like temper issues or something.
Yes. So they call them Rico Riders. We need something for his first name's Patrick. So Patsy.
Patrick's posse.
Yeah, maybe we can figure that out. So, all right, let's NHL in the news. Then we got deadline. So let's play the music. Almost mea culpa before I even.
Oh my God, she already thinks you hate her.
Jeez.
Hi. This is Mea Culpa, and I'm here to introduce the Morning Skates Mea Culpas with Ked and Brownie.
All right, so we're pretty light. We're pretty light on Mea Culpas. First off, I did a podcast with a Northeastern podcast with Chloe O'Rourke and friend of the podcast, Coach Carp. And somehow in the editing, it played the entire interview of Coach Carp and then 20 minutes of it again.
Yep, that one's on me.
And then Chloe, and he called me and he goes, "Great podcast. You guys just really love me that you put me on twice."
So that one's on me. I originally edited it and had Chloe go first, and then I read what your write-up was, and I was like, "Shit, now I have to get Carp to go first." So I think
it's always good to have the player last. That way, people have to sit through listening to Carp.
Yeah, you coaches have to sit together. We get that. And then also another mea culpa within that. I also said it was episode 227, so I just edited that before we started.
All right, fair enough.
I feel like that's the ultimate like grandpa move on your part, Ked. Like I feel like everyone has like that one older relative that like you pull a VHS trying to see like a birth or like a wedding, and it's like a rerun of MASH that your grandpa ran over.
Wait a minute. Who's watching a birth on VHS?
Yeah, but what are we doing? Are you watching?
Bro, are you serious?
I think serious.
That's like a thing now. You know, there's like photographers and videographers for that. It's like cash cow. I don't like. If I could go back, I honestly think like if you could be like a wedding photographer or like a birth photographer, like people want that and it's demand, and you just make crazy prices. Like
I never see a birth photographer. I see the couples that like hang out in the woods and take fall photo shoots and shit.
Yeah, that stuff I get. I didn't know they did birth photography.
What do you think they do when the foliage isn't there?
Yes, dude. They get to humping and they get to having kids. All right. Well, fair enough.
All right. So there was the Carp thing. And then we talked about Lilly Pharmaceuticals a while back, but big news is they capped insulin at $35 a month as the max. So I'm sure they're going to raise pricing somewhere else, but so far that was good. I was informed by my sister-in-law, my wife co-signed, and my daughter made a face that apparently I'm not that good at shooting the hoop.
Okay.
With the toilet seat down. So
I don't think any guy is, but I think every guy thinks they are.
I certainly did. And my sister-in-law chose one friggin' podcast to listen to, and that was the one. And immediately was like, "Oh no, you're not good at that." So
do you think the guy, well, I don't know if it's a guy or girl. It's probably bad for me to assume that it's a guy, but do we think the person who invented the toilet seat that went on top of like the original bowl, do you think he pulled a lot of tail from that? Think about it, man.
Probably.
Like, it was probably very inconvenient. Now they got a toilet seat to sit on. They're like, hey, this guy, he thinks about it.
Well, you use it also.
Oh, yeah, that is
the only way to shoot.
What do you do? Hover when you shit?
I'm a shitter hoverer.
Right. The only way you can shoot the hoop successfully, I'm pretty sure, is if you're a guy who has like a light stream. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to shoot the hoop because it's kind of like, you know how crime shows, right? They try to figure out if someone killed somebody because they like the ballistics show there's blood splatter on the clothes. That's what it is, dude. You have to have a weak stream. Personally, I wouldn't want a weak stream, so take that as like a sign of pride, Brownie.
Well, thank you. It was one of my hidden talents, which apparently is not much of a talent. And then the last one, this one's hilarious. So do you remember we talked about the kid who works for me, and for fantasy football, because of that kid who had the heart attack, they decided to do a simulation like a not Nintendo, like a Madden simulation of the two teams. And that's how they were going to side it at his fraternity. So they're sitting there watching the simulation, and the kid Temp he says to one of the other kids, he's like, yeah, he goes, my the guy I work for talks about on the podcast, he made me the hero of the week. And this kid, Mark O'Brien, Moby, they call him, Moby, whipped his head around and he was like, wait a minute, on the morning skate? And Temp goes, yeah, he goes, I listen every week. I didn't know that was us they were talking about.
Dude, that's cool. I actually had a moment at the bar last weekend where I was out and we were out for one of my friend's birthdays and her sister was there and her sister was with this dude. And the sister comes up to me and she's like, hey, so like, do you have a podcast that's a true story? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, is it called The Morning Skate? And I go, yeah. And she's like, he listens to it all the time, but he's too nervous to say hi. And I was like, oh my God. Like not at anywhere near that level at all. Like
then he found out you were Ked and not Brownie, and he was like, whatever.
Yeah, and I put my show over my head and did the TJ Ocean. Yeah.
Well, I want to give a shout out to this kid Moby, Mark O'Brien, Moby up at UNH. Thanks for listening, bud.
Kind of cool. Yeah, thanks. UNH did Wildcats, right?
Yep. Yeah, you nailed it.
All right, NHL in the news. We're so cool, dude. All right, so of course you're gonna lead off with this word that I'm gonna have struggled to say. Synchronicity is real. Nailed it. As Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard hit 100 points on the same night, McDavid notched his 100th point on an assist from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins against the Rangers. Remind me to bring up Ryan Nugent-Hopkins when I'm done talking about this. Right. This makes McDavid the 16th player in NHL history to have 6 100-point seasons and ties him with Sidney Crosby as the most by active players. 6-time McDavid has hit the 100-point mark in his career and the third most 100-point seasons by the age of 27. Lemieux did it 7 times. Gretzky did it 8. On the same night, Connor Bedard notched his 50th goal of the season, 53 real-time seconds after McDavid's assist, and then added an assist later in the game to push his point total to 100 in only 40 games played. McDavid hit the century mark in 55 games played. Bedard becomes the 5th CHL player to have multiple 100-point seasons before turning 18, joining Tavares, Crosby, LeCavalier, and Mike Bossy. Pretty good shit.
It's nuts, man, how good this kid is.
I think, like, if you want your kid to be really good at hockey, you got to name him Connor, right? At this point.
It's not going to hurt.
Yeah. And shout out to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Who did he fight the other night?
It was a good fight, though.
He fucked
Justin Hall.
Yes, on Toronto, right?
Yeah, he's like the whipping boy. He's their new Cody Ceci. And dude, what I don't understand is RNH. So I like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a lot. I always have, and like he's popping off offensively this year. But like, doesn't he look like he's like 135 pounds soaking wet?
Yeah, he looks like if Brock Nelson had a little brother that just never hit puberty.
That's a very specific burn.
Well, the scientist, dude. Brock Nelson, scientist, the same kind of fucking makeup.
Kind of perfect.
Yeah. Good fight. Also, just unreal. McDavid is. It's really, really cool to see him doing this shit.
I don't watch a lot of Edmonton, but I definitely watched when they played the Bruins last week, and holy shit, is he fucking fast?
Yeah, he's that. I mean, obviously he's better than Kovalchuk, but I remember when Kovalchuk was peak Kovalchuk, and he'd get the puck, and your ass would immediately be like, "Oh no, what the fuck is going on?" Because he's going to go.
Who was it last year that was mic'd up when McDavid came down?
No, it was McKinnon, and it was.
That's right, it was McKinnon.
Petrangelo. He's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
I mean, McKinnon has that too. Think about it. There's really not that many players in the league when they get the puck with speed. You're like, shit. I would say McDavid, McKinnon. I think Kirill Kaprizov a little bit. He's got a little bit of that in him. I don't watch enough Bruins. Does Pastrnak have that a little bit? Not really.
A little bit if he's coming in off the half wall, but he doesn't have that speed coming through the neutral zone to back you up like that.
It's fucking.
If he has good possession coming off the half wall, I'd say, then people are like, fuck.
But that end to end where they get the puck and you're immediately like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like that, it's a cool thing to see. Unfortunately, I don't know if my team has ever had that. Probably since Brian Leetch. Brian Leetch used to be able to go coast to coast, but
so
I have some. It just reminded me. I have some comments about the Rangers in my.
This also reminded me too. I'm glad you guys brought up McDavid. E from Entourage has like his 15th podcast that he's released, and it's with Sean Avery. I don't know if you saw that, Ked. Today I saw like first clip of the first episode, like their first big like let's make a fucking splash clip, and Avery's talking about how he would rather have a guy like Kucherov than McDavid to win the championship because the game flows through. Kucherov flows the game through his teammates, but McDavid flows the game through himself. I'm like, that's really the fucking stance you're going to take episode 1?
I haven't seen a lot of Kucherov to see it. I see the point he's making because when McDavid gets a puck, it's the McDavid show. But I don't know if there's somebody in the league that's truly that great where they make their teammates that much better that I would take over a dude who can just take the puck coast to coast and go.
And what does McDavid have to get his teammates involved for when he can like do it himself? You know what I mean?
I don't think Kucherov would be my top 50 players I would take.
Well, 50 might be tough. I think that might be pushing it. I hate Kucherov myself too, but like I just like I agree in the sense that I think there's players I would definitely pick before Kucherov to try to make that type of point, even on the Lightning alone.
Well, you know how it is though. Nowadays, everyone tries to, like, Milbury is on. He had a podcast, and at one point he was talking about packaging Marchand and Bergeron. It's whoever makes the most outrageous take gets the publicity.
I have an outrageous take. When we were talking about the oh shit players that get the puck, I think in the playoffs, I've seen it from him. When Braden Point gets the puck, I'm kind of like, oh, this might suck. Because like he's pretty fucking quick through the neutral zone and shit, and like it's not really that explosive type shit. He can maneuver really well through the neutral.
Well, if you're talking about players in the playoffs that you get that oh shit, you could put Cale Makar in that when he swings around the net and picks up the puck and goes.
Yeah, but I mean, I could think of 2 other defensemen I'd rather have on my team than Cale Makar. So we're just gonna move on from there.
Ked's gonna hate this one too, but I think I'm curious to see what Jack Hughes looks like in the playoffs. I'm just gonna
that's a good call, dude. Hal, that's a really good call because he has a little bit of that in him too. When he gets the puck, he's like very quick.
He's never played in the playoffs though, right? They've never made the
playoffs. It's a different breed, dude. You have Brennan.
It's going to take him like 3 more years.
You don't think Hughes isn't going to get run through the boards?
It's going to take him 3 years to get adjusted to this.
I forgot that you guys hate American hockey players. That's my bad. Maybe we can talk Austin Matthews.
I think we all hate American hockey players. What do you mean, you guys?
There's 2 American hockey players that I absolutely love. So
I have beef with like the U.S. National Development Program, our Olympic rosters, the coaches they choose, the GMs.
You hate Austin.
I think it's there. I hate Austin Matthews, but I think the way you guys talk about him is very disrespectful to our country.
Oh my God. Look at this middleman Hals. I was not expecting to see that. Connor Bedard, after 4-goal, 5-point night, he now has 58 goals, 61 assists, 119 points in 46 games played. That's 2.59 points per game. It was a 7th hat trick and 8th 5-point game. Pretty good. We're going from pretty good to pretty bad, and this was just embarrassing. New York Rangers had to say goodbye to Keandre Miller for 3 games when he got suspended for spitting at Drew Doughty. After the suspension came down, I have all the respect in the world for Drew Doughty. What happened last night was completely accidental. He got to call him. Doughty's like, listen, man, I know where you're coming from. We thought it was all going to be swept under the rug, but I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, a now current Bruin spat on somebody on purpose and got 3 games. So there was that precedent that was set. Precedent is something that you hear in the judicial system, which apparently runs also in the NHL, especially when your head of player safety is a fucking loser. So,
well, this is the perfect time now to go ahead with your story.
No, that's my 0 of the week. I'm going to save it.
Sorry.
Clown show. So this was just a really, really tough look for the game of hockey, in my opinion. I thought hockey was a thing where the guys just settle it themselves, but apparently we gotta play, coy to the PC crowd and make sure people get suspended if they get spit on. So,
dude, that's assault.
That's assault.
That's assault, brother. I don't even want to ask you guys for your stance on here.
I think 3 games that's the precedent. That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't think 2 things. One, I don't think I buy that he didn't see him there. Like, if you watch it, it's kind of tough. That's a tough one. Like, I do believe he felt sorry after.
Yeah.
And it's like Keandre Miller isn't really that type of player either. So it's kind of like when Garnett Hathaway did it, it's like, yep, he's a scumbag. Like, we get that one. But yeah, I think one happens once. Whatever, dude, figure it out. Happens twice, then you're like kind of getting to it.
Can I take my Rangers hat off for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can absolutely fucking just loogie the fuck out of somebody and be like, oh, I didn't see him there. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It was a perfect It was like, perfect.
It was a direct shot to the face.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're like, like sometimes when you're skating around on the ice and like Hal and I might have a little bit more experience because we pack lips when we skate and like you spit and sometimes like it's like here. So you have to really make sure you like get it out there. Right. In no way was that a setting where you could just spit and not think that somebody wasn't going to eat something. And everybody was around him. That was bizarre.
I don't even think Keandre Miller is the dirtiest New York Rangers defenseman.
I mean, we can talk about all your Boston boys here in a day if you want.
We'll get there.
Sidney Crosby became the first active player and the 14th player in NHL history to record his 13th plus 70-point season. Question for you guys, okay? In their prime, their absolute prime, and McDavid might not even be in his prime now. I mean, dude, he's going to score 150, whatever.
I don't think what's he only like 26, right?
Yeah, like isn't that crazy to fucking think about? So my question for you, and it might be a stupid question, but Sidney Crosby in his prime, Connor McDavid in his prime, a 7-game playoff series. Who do you want on your team?
Crosby.
Yeah, I just think, I think the answer can definitely change. Like at this point, I think it's safe to say that McDavid is more talented. But Crosby has a golden goal, right? He's got got so many cups, dude. He's like literally done it all. So, and I don't think it's a fault of his own, McDavid. I'm sure we'll talk about the Oilers like later. Like they are a threat. But at this point, I would still say Crosby.
And you got to take away the argument that Crosby had Malkin because McDavid has Draisaitl, so that's not even part of it. It's the pressure, it's the big stage, and I know McDavid does everything he can, but they haven't won.
I think the easiest way, in my opinion, how to settle this is you look at Connor McDavid, and he might be the best offensive hockey player that's ever played the game, right? Like there's a good chance that that's what it is. When I look at Sidney Crosby, and I've heard this on other podcasts and shit, he's the best grinder of all time. Like he's obviously very skilled. His backhands are unreal. Like he can see the ice.
But like, call him the best fourth liner of all time. I heard that.
He plays all 200 feet of the rink, dude.
Yeah.
He's a fucking pain in the ass to play against. And then when you turn the puck over, it's like, oh shit, now he can go the other way and do all these fucking crazy things. Where I think McDavid's really like when he gets the puck, it's like, oh shit. But Crosby has a better chance of getting the puck than McDavid.
Did you see the projected Olympic lines they did? I don't remember who it was, but they had Crosby in between Marchand and Bergeron.
Yeah, because Crosby and Marchand, they train together and shit, right?
Yeah.
I always wonder, dude, as like the Rangers, you have Lafreniere, Capo, actually pretty much any team in the NHL, you have all these like your first and second overall picks or whatever. How come people like aren't reaching? And maybe I don't know. I would be like, hey, Marchand, Crosby, can they go train with you? Like, do you think that that's never brought up?
Who would
like with the Rangers, like Lafreniere, like the Rangers, or somebody who knows Crosby within that organization and call and be like, hey, listen, we're gonna put Lafreniere up in a fucking home for the summer. We're wondering if he could train with you.
I think it's a geography thing, dude. Honestly, because McKinnon trains with them too. They're all from Halifax, right? So like, I think it's basically you have to like pray to God that there's like NHLers that have a lake house where you live in the summer.
And they got to be somewhat boys in some regards. They have to be somewhat friendly. Even like if you notice, like with Marchand and Crosby and McKinnon, it's always McKinnon and Crosby talking about each other. Marchand is a little prickly with them, but they still train together because it makes them better. But I don't know if they're exactly boys. So I think that's the geography that Hal's talking about. But then you have the Crosby-McKinnon dynamic is that they are boys. So I think it's a little bit of both of those.
Yeah.
Or you can just suck down energy drinks at BioSteel with Gary Roberts.
The female Bedard. Oh, Jesus. Nela Lopusanova?
I think so.
Lopusanova, who is currently playing in the Slovak Premier U16 League, scored 10 goals on her 15th birthday and added 9 assists for Zelina in their 24-1 win. She now has 28 goals, 21 assists for 49 points in 8 games played.
See you in the Olympics.
Video.
I have a question for Brownie on this one. So, Brownie, I was thinking about this. 16-year-old Slovak, right? Like, women's hockey, obviously the landscape's different on what you do. Is she going to go, like, D1 college?
She'll probably go, if I'm sure she's being recruited already. I'd be surprised if Northeastern hasn't been talking to her or at least has her on the radar. I don't know that for certain. I haven't asked anybody. But she'll go to their she'll play for the Olympics because that the woman I interviewed a few podcasts ago, Alina Mueller, scored an Olympic goal at 15 years old. So this girl has the opportunity to do the same kind of thing.
I think your next press conference, that should be the one question you ask.
Agree. You should lead with that. And I don't know if it ruins your journalistic integrity, but NIL, morning skate, if this is your chance to be a booster and kind of, make a difference for the community. So
I'll get her a few stickers and a
koozie.
Come on, Brownie, if you could single-handedly get a Slovak phenom to play for Northeastern Women's Hockey, you know what I mean?
We might get some gear, actually.
You could be the Buddy Garrity, dude, of the NCAA women's hockey circuit, dude. Spencer Knight showed off a new mask on his return to game action. It features artwork drawn by patrons at a local children's hospital where Knight spent the day drawing with them. Pretty cool. I always think it's interesting how goalies kind of choose their mask and shit.
Did you see Omar just unveiled a new mask today?
It's sick, dude.
It's like his fifth one this year.
Henrik Lundqvist, last couple years on the Rangers, they actually made an MSG show about it, about how he has this one dude who designs his masks, and then he met up with different celebrities to get what they think would be kind of a cool mask. He'd wear it one game and then he would auction it off.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Stick tap, Spencer Knight. Ilya Sorokin got a win over Detroit on Saturday when the Isles won 4-1. He made 22 saves. What made the win special was that his dad was in the stands. It was the first time that he's seen his son play in person in 10 years. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really didn't mean to cut you off, Brian. I was going to say, I just want Ked's honest opinion on Sorokin. I've been out of the loop a while. Is there a lot of Sorokin slander here? What's the thought?
No, I don't think there's any slander. I think he's a really good goalie. Do you guys know if he has a Vezina?
See, there it is.
Okay. All right. Hey, huge stick taps right here. I think as all three of us can get behind this.
Yep.
Mark Giordano,
one of the only two Leafs I like.
He broke Kris Russell's record for block shots. Giordano now has 2,045, the record and counting. I'm a sucker for block shots, dude.
Yep.
Block shots win championships, and that's what
they take away Kris Russell's those silver knee pads. You think they go and take them away and bring them to Geo?
Dude, I think that's fucking pretty sick. Ryan O'Reilly on LTIR with a broken finger.
Yep.
He probably fell out of love with the game of hockey again. And then Jake Muzzin's been ruled out the rest of the year as he recovers from a cervical spine injury. This sucks. I really like the way Jake Muzzin plays. He's a motherfucker to play against, dude. Is it just me, or I feel like he's always been hurt ever since he's been a Leaf? Has he had any sort of healthy season with them? Do you guys know?
No, I don't think he's played a full 82 with them.
Mm-mm.
I don't really. This is probably a terrible take, but I always thought Jake Muzzin's beard actually makes him look tougher than he actually plays.
It's the Ryan Ellis effect.
Yes, exactly. You think Ryan Ellis has a little bit of snarl, but really he's just a 5'9" puck moving defenseman.
Yeah, the only defenseman with a beard where it's fuck would probably be Gudis, right?
So wait, are you advocating for Grizzlick to grow a beard?
If Grizzlick grew a beard, I wouldn't be having the opinion that he should be the odd man out on the blue line.
That's fair.
There you go.
Nashville Predators announced that David
Poile,
good attaboy, set to retire as the GM of the Preds after 26 years at the end of the season. And Nashville announced Barry Trotz will be his replacement. Of course, he saw all those chart nerds come up in arms. He's never done this before. I can't believe they're naming Barry Trotz this guy. Shut the fuck up, dude. Barry Trotz knows more about hockey than you do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, shut up. We're not just doing this. The NHL is a multi-billion, million?
High millions. I don't know about billions. Oh no, it's probably billions.
Name some Joe Schmo to go fucking do it, dude. They clearly have their guy. They wanted their guy. He knows.
Well, this explains why Trotz didn't take any of those coaching vacancies either.
Yeah, I heard one thing that I think he wanted to also be in Washington when he wanted to stay, or maybe it was the Islanders. He thought Trotz was under the impression that old Lou Lamoriello was going to retire, and he actually wanted to take Lou's job, and it didn't work out. And then the other thing,
coach in Nashville.
So. Yeah, Dave Poile is the Predators. You know what I mean? If you look it up, they said he's actually staying on as an advisory.
Yeah, consulting. Right.
So you don't think Dave Poile's going to get sick of being retired in 2 days and be on the phone with Barry Trotz talking hockey every day? I think Barry Trotz is set up in a really good situation. He's one of the greatest coaches of his generation. I don't
make
know,
the argument that Poile just wanted his buddy back with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, listen, I'll step aside and get a consultant gig. You come on as the GM. I'm here to help you. We'll just play golf and hang out and go listen to music for the next 5 years till I completely shut it down.
I've heard some really good things on the street about David Poile being like a really good human being. Back when I lived in Nashville, I had an Uber with some guy, and he's like, yeah, I used to pick up Poile from the airport. And he's like, he's a great guy. So maybe that's really not word on the street. Just one guy told me that, but
I think that's the definition of man on the street.
Like Tutu, I'm gonna miss a couple of players. Tutu, Connor Ingram last year. I'm missing they had a couple of guys go through like substance abuse issues in Nashville, and they all basically said David Poile like kind of really helped them through. So
I think Austin Watson on the Predators when he beat up his girlfriend or wife, allegedly.
Allegedly.
What is with that allegedly thing?
I think if you say allegedly, you're in the clear. Pat McAfee is getting sued by Brett Favre right now.
It's going to get tossed though. That way, it protects you from libel or slander.
Yeah, and I don't know because, dude, I read some articles saying he did do it. I read some articles saying that he didn't do it, so that's why I want to put that allegedly there. But I'm pretty sure he was with the Preds when that happened, and now he's like sober for however many years since then, still doing scumbag things on the ice. That's not allegedly, that's a fact. But that's where we're at. Cal Foote acquisition. He reunites with Matt Duchene, who lived with Foote during his first 2 seasons in Colorado. Cal was 10 years old then and is now 24, playing on the same team as Duchene. That's got to be pretty fucking crazy for him, right?
Well, I think it's cool for Cal Foote, but Duchene's got to be like, fuck, I'm old.
Yeah. Like 10 years old, dude? Yeah.
Do you ever wonder if the Foote brothers are like, wish they were the Kachucks? You know what I mean? Like, Cal was a pretty high first-round pick. I think this is his it's his second organization. Took him a while to get going with the Lightning. And then you have Nolan Foote, who I think was also a first-round pick of the Devils, just grinding away in Utica. Like, I always assumed, like, Adam Foote, legend, I thought their kids would kind of step in, but they've both kind of like teetering prospects, no?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it the whole thing on defensemen, though? It takes them longer to get used to the pace of play and the positioning and the systems, whereas forward you just kind of go. So I mean, it's not too late for either of them. They're both still relatively young.
Yeah, and then
not an easy lineup to crap either.
And then every once in a while you get a 23-year-old that wins the Norris in New York. So
and Turtles from Marshawn. But go ahead.
Detroit extended their captain Dylan Larkin 8 years, $8.7 million AAV. Extended Jake Wallman 3 years at a $3.2 AAV, and signed Oli Mata to a 2-year, $3 million extension. I think I'm okay with the Dylan Larkin deal, dude. Like I think he's become like a really important part of their team. And the way I look at Dylan Larkin now is way different the way I looked at him like 2 or 3 years ago.
Co-sign.
Like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, he's kind of like a little bit of a bitch. Now I feel like he's like a grown-ass man playing hockey.
You know what started me? Started me back on him on the positive. One, he was rocking a beard for a while, to Hal's point. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, when he duffed that guy's beer and then sent over the attendant with the 20. Remember that last year?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I like this kid.
Yeah. I know Hal's never really been a Larkin guy, so I'm interested to see what he has to say about that, dude. 8 points.
Yeah, I don't know. I to me it was kind of interesting. I thought Stevie Y was like Mr. Tough Guy. It seems like he gave in. Feels like people are talking like JT Miller numbers. The AAV is higher, like better player than JT Miller.
I was going to say I definitely rather have Larkin. Yeah.
Like, and everyone's banking on the cap, although everyone knows Gary Bettman's lying through his fucking teeth. Everything he says. I don't know.
Story coming up.
Yeah. I was pretty okay with it. Kind of, we can touch on it later. Maybe kind of crazy. He was crying about Tyler Bertuzzi though. That one threw me off a bit.
They love him. They love Bertuzzi over there.
It's hard because I saw Hank cry when Zuccarello left the Rangers. So it's like, and what did the Red Wings really have the last 3 years? Not much.
Do you ever like think like, would you rather have Zook over like Kane or Tarasenko?
I think the fact that they got rid of Zuccarello is one of the dumbest fucking things they ever did. He led their team in points year after year, never with. And you can say they had Rick Nash. Rick Nash fucking sucked. All the Ranger fans are going to start crying now. Rick Nash did all the really good little things.
Hey, you know what Rick Nash did for you?
4 goals. And
you know what Rick Nash did for you is he got Ryan Lindgren for you. So
that is the only thing positive that I think Rick Nash did in his 10 years as Ranger. But actually, Hal, that's a good point because now you look at like how much fun would it have been watching Panarin or Zuccarello play with Panarin or with Zibanejad, somebody who could fucking score every 2 seconds. Like it would have been really, really cool. And I always thought it was really funny because when he left, for some reason, I was like, I really hope he gets to play with Tyler Seguin. I have no idea why. I just picked him because I knew Seguin could score goals. And then he went to Dallas and he fucking lit it up. So, and then he cashed his bag in Minnesota. And now he's playing with Kirill Kaprizov. Him and Kirill, I would say a top 10 duo in the NHL. Would you agree with that? I mean, yeah, McDavid, Draisaitl, Marchand, Bergeron.
12,
you have some people, but like, dude, they're pretty fucking good, man. So
Billy Guerin was on 32 Thoughts maybe a week or two ago, and he had some really nice things to say about Zuccarelli. You should give it a listen. You probably enjoy it.
I'll do that. Shout out to Billy Guerin for taking that guy's head off in training camp. Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
By the way. If you ever want to fucking put a video out there to see if somebody gets fired from being a GM, fucking put that one out there. St. Louis, beginning of an end. After trading away some key pieces over the last few weeks, Craig Berube ripped his players. Our best players didn't play with any passion, no emotion, no inspiration at all. They don't play inspired hockey. You cannot play in this league without emotion, grit, being inspired. They're getting paid lots of money. They're not doing the job. End of story. Robert Thomas didn't think that was the end of the story, however, and responded via media to Berube's comments. I've been a part of this team for a long time. What he said couldn't be further from the truth. I know everyone in that room cares. I'm taking Berube's word over anybody else's. Like, I think I heard this on Chicklets, but I couldn't have agreed more. Like, you can go out and put up points, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing your fucking job. Like, some players are just so talented that they can skate by doing shit like that. But in terms of like getting W's, playing for a win, playing for your city, like that's not really what that is. Like and the fact that he go into the meeting, he's like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Now it's like Berube's going to be like, well, fucking prove it. Like, cause they're not doing shit right now. What do you have
read the room? Like that's what I'm thinking. Read the room. Like I understand that Thomas is a prideful guy. He's a great player. Right? Like, I think what Berube's trying to say is guys like Thomas and Kyrou have to play like the full ice, right? Like, you can't just put up 80 points and watch us lose, right? Well, what's weird to me, and I'm sure you touch on it in trade deadline, they picked up Kapanen off of waivers, and then they got Verana. It's like your coach was just pleading that they don't have enough, like, guys who are, like, playing, like, blood, sweat, and tears, Blues, Berube hockey, and then those are the guys that you bring in?
Yeah, that was weird. That was kind of I didn't even think about that until you said that. Those two players to me don't scream heart and soul to me.
Yeah.
Two things I took away from this. One, I'm glad to see Berube complain about his players and not crying about the refs, which is his normal fucking mode. That's one. And two, I thought it was interesting that Robert Thomas was the only player that stood up and said anything.
Yeah,
it's a weird player commented on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was like, I'll take the hit for everybody because I got the big contract, I'm not going anywhere, or if he was the only one who got butthurt over it. I mean, I have no idea.
Such a weird spot. Like, are they rebuilding? Because if you are rebuilding, why didn't you get rid of Parayko? Why didn't you get rid of Krug? Why didn't you get rid of Falk? Like, you have a lot of
take Krug in that contract. I'm sorry, the Bruins unloaded on that one. That was a great deal for the Bruins.
I know, but I just feel like you had pieces that you could have gotten rid of there at the deadline, and you kept them for what reason?
It's that halfway thing, right?
No
GM wants to say rebuild anymore.
Yeah.
Here's a trivia question for you, just like heart and soul guys, because this caught me off guard. How many teams in the NHL right now don't have a captain?
Sharks? Oh, no, it's Couture, right?
Yeah, Couture is captain.
Coyotes?
It's 8. There's 8 teams right now.
Coyotes, Flyers.
Blackhawks.
Nope. They have Taves.
They have Taves.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Islanders, Devils.
I'm like kind of imagine going down the coast.
Senators, Leafs, Winnipeg.
You got 3.
Nashville?
Western Conference Canada.
Calgary?
No.
Who the fuck is Calgary's captain?
Vancouver?
Oh, Calgary doesn't have a captain. And
Vancouver doesn't either, right?
All of that area doesn't. And then I think you missed Anaheim, Seattle, and St. Louis because O'Reilly got traded. So that's a team without a captain now too. That was
and Seattle was Giordano. That's right.
That's just why it's nice to have Hal on the pod. Little fun facts, dude.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Matthew Barzal is possibly out for the rest of the regular season. No one's letting any further info out on him. He's been out since February 18th, listed as week to week with lower body. Some reports stated that he may miss training camp.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. He kind of has a little bit of that oh shit when he gets the puck.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, right? But he doesn't shoot the puck. Don't you want him to just like rip it, bro?
Yeah, dude, like go to the net. Like fucking, like you're doing all this sweet skating, but then you find yourself in the corner or in like the high part of the zone with nobody. Or like, Zach Parise played in his 1200th game. The Minnesota Natives played for the Devils, the Wild, and the Islanders. 423 goals, 447 assists for 870 points with 428 penalty minutes. I was going to ask if he's a Hall of Famer, but after reading that, I'm going to say no.
No.
I think he could get into the USA Hockey Hall of Fame.
I was going to say Minnesota Hockey Hall of Fame, maybe.
Because, dude, Parise was sick for the U.S. team there for a while.
My fear of Zach Parise is for the last 4 years, my fear is the Bruins are going to sign him at the deadline. Like, that was the guy they were going to bring in. I was like, fuck no.
No, you got Lee Stempniak instead, dude.
Here's a guy backtrack really quick.
What'd you say, Hal?
Just really quick backtrack, because we kind of talked about it earlier. So, puck possession time per game among forwards, Barzal's first in the league, McDavid second, Kaprizov third, Hughes fourth. So we're pretty on the ball. But I think that supports that Barzal really does carry the puck.
Yeah.
Zone entries, dude. Stats.
Zone entries per 60.
Zone entries, that Corsi percentage is fucking sick, dude. Let's steal the contract, bro.
Look at this graph.
Yo, sign him for $12 million a year, dude. He never dumps the puck. Bruce Boudreau will join the onside team for Trade Center 2023. I did see a thing that said after his last game, JT Miller and the boys came in and gave him the belt and shit, and that meant all that.
Nice.
I've always been Team Haagen-Dazs. I don't know if I'd want Bruce Boudreau as my coach, but he just seems like a very likable person.
He'd be fun to hang out with, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you see the clip when he was on the TSN set when he was yelling at everybody, like joking? You know, it was fun.
I think he's cool.
Yeah,
I
like wrestling.
When you think of like here's a question for you guys. When you think of all like the 24/7 NHL docs that they came out with, like what coach was like your favorite? And then what one was like your least favorite? I think the funniest one was Randy Carlisle when him and like Phil Kessel used to go at it. And he's like, good one, Randy. Good one. That one always makes me laugh.
The worst for me was the guy, the Leafs coach.
Last year's Sheldon Keefe?
Yeah. I only watched half of it because I couldn't stand watching.
He's Jimmy VC, dude. But
he was so obvious aware of the camera, you know, like JJ Watt was on Hard Knocks kind of thing, you know.
I thought Tortorella was cool. I thought Peter Laviolette when he talked about playing with Jam, like I thought that was pretty sick, dude.
I hate that JJ Watt like claims hockey.
Did you see the video, the Instagram or whatever it was? They had a hot dog machine in there.
So if you're listening to this podcast, at any point we post anything on their social networks, if there's an exclamation point after it, that's not me and that's Disco doing it. That's how you know it's a Disco tweet or an Instagram.
Oh, is he all about the exclamation points?
He loves exclamation points, dude. Exclamation points and hashtags. But thank you for getting up, Disco. Appreciate you. Jonathan Taine has shut it down due to effects of long COVID and chronic immune response syndrome. No timetable for his return. That
sucks, man. I love Taves. I think he's such a good player.
Yeah, his career, dude. Some weird shit has happened in Chicago.
Oh,
very good player.
Did you see the article? There was an article I read today or yesterday about they told Kane apparently that they weren't going to re-sign him this summer.
Oh, I did see something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was nuts.
And then they to save face, they showed Davidson calling Kane, telling him he got traded and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we have. Joel Farabee was less than happy with how Farabee's season's going, and when his feelings were related to John Tortorella, this is news to me. He should just shut up.
It was Farabee's agent, to be fair. Tortorella didn't say that to Farabee. It was about the agent.
I mean, Torts is just gonna tort. Now
any Tort story is in here just for you.
He now has a team that has Tony DeAngelo and Brendan Lemieux, and I don't think that he can be any happier about that. So,
Kevin Hayes is like, get me to fucking Columbus, please.
Yeah. Anaheim, no tanking at all. As Connor Bedard admitted that he gets texts from Mason McTavish all the time if they lose. I thought that's kind of funny.
Thought that was great. I would. Hey, listen, I'll take Mason McTavish on my team off of Anaheim any day of the week. I love the way that kid plays.
I really hope he doesn't go to Anaheim, though. Doesn't that just feel like a waste of a generational talent? Am I wrong?
I was looking at.
Would you rather see him in Montreal?
So I was looking at the teams where he potentially could go. The only team that I think that would be cool would be Montreal. And I know that you guys hate that, but in terms of like a Canadian kid who's nasty, Montreal, we'd see more of him than we would if he went out west.
Let me give you this one.
Not
go to Arizona, He goes to Arizona because hear me out. He goes to Arizona because that's Bettman's little fucking baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Austin Matthews won't re-sign him, goes to Arizona as well.
And they'll still have nobody go to their games.
Then they'll get the new arena built.
No. If Austin Matthews is in Arizona, I really do believe they'd probably have like 16,000 a night.
But they would get the funding for the new building.
I don't really hate, and maybe this is a bad take, I don't really hate Bedard as a Blackhawk. Chicago, it's
I think American market,
original six. They're kind of
everybody else in the hockey community and culture. I think so many people would stop watching hockey if you went to Chicago.
The Blackhawks haven't paid enough for what they did yet.
I think everybody would think that.
That will be the mindset, I think.
But I'll be the guy who think that it'd be cool. Because
from like a hockey rating,
you're losing all like your franchise players, right? Jonathan Taves isn't really playing anymore. Patrick Kane's gone. Like, it's an original six. They still have sick jerseys as of right now, up until they're forced to fucking change those. Like, it'd be, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Cool story. Linus Ullmark.
Dickhead.
Nailed the dagger. We're Seattle earlier this week, became the first goalie in Bruins history. I thought that was interesting. Score a goal, 9th in league history, and the first since Pekka Rinne did it with Nashville in 2020. There's only been 9 goalies that have scored goals.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I feel like should be way more than that.
And Brodeur, I think, is the only one with, or maybe Billy Smith, both have
Hextall.
2. Oh, Hextall, right.
Hextall had a couple.
What was funny was a few games ago, I don't remember who it was, they pulled the goalie, and Ullmark went out of net, and the whole TD Garden got up, and then he just kind of biffed it off the sidewall. I think everybody wanted him to try it again. It's pretty funny.
Every time the Rangers are up and like the other team pulls a goalie, if the puck goes anywhere near Igor Shesterkin, the whole place goes fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They won that game. It was against the Canucks, was so fucking boring, and like I remember I was watching. I think it was a Friday night, and it was just the worst hockey game ever. And then that happened at the end, and I felt like fucking incredible. I was so pumped up.
Made the whole game.
Which is so random. Like, I wouldn't think I'd be someone that cared that much. But, like,
that's cool, dude. That's a sick moment.
Filled with joy for, like, no reason.
Filled with joy for a brief
sick moment. Did you guys crank it when him and Swayman hugged? It was like a little bit.
Relax.
Every time, buddy.
What was the other thing? Oh, did you guys put down? I didn't read your doc at all. The AHL goalie who scored and then
Peter. Yeah, scored, fought, and then tried fighting the next game. The Hurricanes goalie, Peter
Kachioff. I'm supposed to be the stat guy.
Yeah, starts with Kachak or some shit.
Wasn't he in the playoffs for the Canes last year too? Like, he's actually like a good prospect.
Yeah,
he's sick in the head. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this, since you're not on that much. So I've been using the to describe the goalie hug between Ullmark and Swayman as the Huggy Bears. What do you think of that one?
I think it's
not bad. I just feel like it gives Ked fuel for the Flyers.
No, I just think you're trying to take light off the fact that you guys signed Mitchell Miller by using as a little bit cuter of a thing. So.
Dude, I don't even think we've said a bad thing about the Rangers this episode.
I know it's coming, dude. I know.
This is all preemptive from him. This is what it is.
Relax.
8 years, 11.25.
Yep.
How do we feel about that? I feel like that's pretty good, right?
It's not a hometown discount by any means, but it doesn't completely handcuff them and bury them. So,
yeah,
the player you're getting, he's pretty fucking good, dude. Like, is he a 30 or 40 goal guy? 40?
40.
Yeah,
he's flirting with 50.
Yeah, he hasn't hit 50 yet. I think COVID lockout year, right? He tied Ovechkin for the Rocket Richard, but I think this is the year that he hits 50
and doesn't win the scoring.
Yeah, which is crazy. He's at 44 goals right now, so yes, he is a 40-goal scorer.
We'll wait to see what your load management's going to be like going towards playoffs. I'm sure all you guys are probably going to start sitting here soon. So,
well, I was gonna add too. I feel like when McAvoy signed that $9 million contract, it's kind of
pushed everything up a little bit.
Yeah, like it's out the window.
9 was it 9 for 8 more years?
He's an elite defenseman. It's okay, bro. When the Rangers and the Bruins, if the Rangers make it past the Devils, you can see what an elite defenseman actually looks like in the playoffs. Let's see what Jack Hughes
does. No, okay, he makes 9. That's fine. For some reason, I thought Fox only made 8, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that he made a full mil more, but he actually makes $500,000 less. My bad, guys. It's okay. That's a lot of money for a defenseman, both of those. But I guess that's the going rate for D-men.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if you remember. That was the Darnell Nurse, Werenski. They all everyone got paid that summer. I think Fox
Jones.
Seth Jones, was it that summer or the summer after? Okay,
like actually, 8 or 9 million.
Speaking of McAvoy and Fox, in that same Olympic thing, they had them as a pair.
Nothing boils my blood more than I see U.S. line projections and Fox is like first pair and like McAvoy's third pair. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. That's USA hockey. You want to win bronze, have Fox play the most minutes on your D line.
Yeah, dude. I saw this report. I wish I would have fucking saved it. It was like the report of defensemen that have played together throughout the course of the year, and it was how much time on ice they have and like how they are up against other people within the league or whatever. And Fox and Lindgren were like 6th on the list, but their minutes were like quadruple everybody else's minutes together, which I thought was interesting because like when the Rangers play, it's always Fox and Lindgren and it's always Trouba and Miller. Is it like that with the Bruins? Like, is McAvoy always with one dude, or does it switch every once in a while?
Switch them all around.
Yeah.
They shuffle around the pairings constantly, I feel. Excuse me, and I think it's with an eye to the future is that, in playoffs, everybody gets dinged up.
Yeah.
I just think they're trying to get everybody comfortable with everybody. And especially we'll talk about it when we get to the trade stuff, but Orlov can play either side. So he's literally had a different partner almost every game he's played.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Adam Fox, but the fact that him and Lindgren have played so well together, it's like, obviously Adam Fox is very good, but how much does Ryan Lindgren affect that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've been playing together since World Junior, and now they're together all the time. We've seen since Lindgren's gone out of the lineup, the Rangers' defense hasn't been all that well, but Fox is playing with like Mikola, and they've only been running 5D. So it's like, or Mikola, however the hell you fucking pronounce his name. But all right, let's move on. Arizona, speaking of not taking Clayton Keller, when asked about the Coyotes' 7-game unbeaten streak earlier in February, we got a good burst of energy over the break. I'm sure the GM's not too happy about it. Connor Ingram, 47 saves in his first career NHL shutout, setting a new league record. It's a lot of
pretty good for them.
Yeah. That's a lot. Patrick Marleau, number 12 in ceremony, brought Jumbo Joe Thorne to tears. Marleau's number was the first Sharks number to be retired. Joe Thorne has to have his number retired there, right?
I don't think Joe Thornton's officially retired yet.
No, but when he is, if you're going to retire Marleau's number, you have to retire Thorne.
I would think so.
And isn't there another one? Wasn't it Marleau Thorne? And wasn't there one more? Or am I being an idiot? I might be just. Oh, it was like Chichu, but he's not there. Couture, I don't.
Brent Burns,
the same thing.
Vlasic's been there forever.
Vlasic, maybe Vlasic would be a number if you're going to retire those. I don't know.
You know what I was thinking about, and this is probably fucked up. I love Jumbo Joe, obviously, great quotes, great hockey player, one of the best of his generation. But like, I don't feel bad that he didn't win a cup. Like, he chose like Toronto and like Florida. It's like, bro, at one point when he signed with Toronto, I'm pretty sure every contender wanted him for like 3rd, 4th line. You know what I mean? Like, veteran presence can win a cup. It was
cheap money too. It wasn't like they offered him a huge amount.
Yeah.
And he just decided to roll around with Marner and the boys. Like, that's on you, dude.
Well, that's because I'm pretty sure Marleau told him how much fun he had. That'd be my guess.
But like, again, like,
Marner and the boys.
Maybe you shouldn't be having fun. Like, maybe you should have like.
I agree, buddy.
Yeah, grinded it out, but hey, whatever. No shade to Jumbo.
The biggest softy big man in the league, Ryan Johansson, will miss 12 weeks following right leg surgery.
What is that for?
He's soft as baby shit, dude. Ryan Johansson's the epitome of a dude who's going to act tough, but never back it up. That guy's never once backed it up.
Is that from your Tennessee experience?
No, he did something with the Rangers last year where he was acting fucking super tough, and I'm like, fuck that guy. Okay. So I'm not a Johansson guy. Plus, who was the coach in didn't Torts hate him?
I mean, probably he played for him. So
yeah, because he got hurt, maybe.
So we go
the other side of the coin.
Yes, we go from softest big guy to a dude who just fucking skates with his dick hanging on the ice. Brady Tkachuk is the captain you need. In an Ottawa win over Detroit 6-2, he scored a goal in the second at the horn for the intermission. He skated the Detroit bench and challenged the entire team while screaming, "Who wants it? Who fucking wants it?" Sorry, Maz, but your entire team turtled, bud. After the game, Tkachuk showed he's still a man of the people by giving away multiple sticks to young fans in the crowd. Teams played the next night, and Ottawa pumped them again 6-1, with the teams combining for 14 power play opportunities, and sadly, no one fought Tkachuk.
Wait, before you move on, did you see he went after the goalie?
Yeah,
Chicago.
It's that weird goalie. What the fuck goalie is it?
I forget his name. But the goalie was chirping him back from 30 feet while that linesman hung on Brady Tkachuk's jersey like his life depended on it.
Now, it's like a weird
Alex Stalock.
Stalock, yeah.
So, yeah, I would say too, like Brady Tkachuk, those tauntings, those games, like, I mean, they ended the Red Wings season. No, like it was pretty crazy. Both teams, like right there in the standings, to just dominate like that, taunt the bench, like
Brady Tkachuk's sick, dude.
So I was listening to 32 Thoughts, and they were talking about how Brady Tkachuk has always been like the nice one, quote unquote. Like, remember he was in Calgary having beers with everybody, doing all the fun, goofy stuff, supporting his brother at the All-Star game. They made the point that Brady Tkachuk is still a Tkachuk, and he finally showed that he's a fucking prick out there too. And they basically were like, everybody just better watch out. Because if he's like this, because that's how Matthew plays all the time.
But Matthew's a rat and Brady's a nail gun. You get what I'm saying?
No,
like similar
100%.
attitudes.
But they were like, it's like when you don't, it's like pissing off the big guy. Like, oh, once that guy gets up from his bar stool, you're like, fuck. You know what I mean?
He's the John Goodman of the NHL, dude, from Roseanne, dude. Like a young John Goodman.
All right. That might be the wildest comparison.
So when I went to...
I know what you meant. I know what you mean.
When I was in St. Louis, I saw them play Ottawa, and Brady Tkachuk, if you guys ever get a chance to watch him in person, he's so much fun to watch because he's bigger than everybody on the ice, and he skates just as fast as everybody, and he hits everything. If you remember, he fought Trouba right in the fucking center ice of the Garden. They went on... Derek Brassard playing his 1,000th game against the Rangers, where, of course, he scored twice. It was in that game they had an unreal third period led by Brady Tkachuk. And then, so speaking of Brassard, big game brass, 16 seasons.
Hey, really quick, and I don't know why I'm cutting you off to say this because it's not that important, but I thought it was interesting. We'll get to Chychrun. Chychrun's agent basically came out and said that like his understanding is a lot of guys in the league want to play in Ottawa, which was not the case. They're saying like a lot of people like would want to get traded to Ottawa right now.
Because of Brady.
And his agent basically credited Brady being the captain and that like people like where
turned it around.
Look at that team right now. They're young. They get a fucking goalie and they get one or two bigger premier guys. Like they could be a fucking problem, dude.
Wait till Ryan Reynolds becomes part of the ownership group as well. They're gonna get all this Hollywood stuff. They're gonna get a behind the scenes documentary.
New rink.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Rest in peace. Eugene Melnick. No, not Eugene Melnick. What was his name?
No, was it Pierre?
Yeah,
no, it's Eugene. Yeah. Eugene for the past, dude. Brassard, he played 16 seasons with Columbus, the Rangers, played in Ottawa twice, Pittsburgh, Florida, Colorado, Islanders, Arizona, Philly, and Edmonton. I didn't know he was that much of a suitcase, dude.
I think it's great.
Compiling stat line, 213 goals, 330 assists, 543 points with 463 PIMs. He was a great Ranger. Like he was, I love Brassard. Brassard was fucking. I thought he was cool.
Everywhere he goes, everyone loves him too.
Big game brass.
And then even more Ottawa, they retired Chris Neal's number, and he left through the penalty box.
At the end of the ceremony, he went out through the penalty box. It was hilarious.
He's a top 3 dude in the NHL. Where if I was on the ice, he'd be a top 3 dude. I would not want to fight. And I know that's crazy because there's a lot of bigger dudes, but Chris Neal, there's just something looking at him. Like if you could punch that guy as hard as you could in the face and he would eat it and you'd break your hand. Like he would just, and he was a thumper, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
he would have been a great Ranger, dude.
There it is.
John Gibson recorded his third 50+ save performance of the month. Gibson went 1-2 in those contacts. The Ducks being outshot 167-79. Nick,
I fully believe, and you're not a John Gibson believer. I fully believe if he went to a contender, he would be a better goalie.
Oh, I think he's a good goalie.
Yeah. Like his stats really aren't that great, but like I still think he's elite. I think when you play on a team like the Anaheim Ducks, right, and you're a goalie, like how are you supposed to predict where the puck's gonna go? You can't trust your defensemen to have their men. You can't trust. You think Zegras is like crashing hard, like on the back check? You know what I mean? Like, and then when that's happening and your D's falling apart, like you have to kind of cheat. And I feel like you can't cheat when Connor McDavid has the puck. No, you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like some goalies, like UC Saros in Nashville, we talk about him, Short King. Everybody loves UC Saros, and he kind of like still puts up good numbers on a shitty team, but I don't know. John Gibson, Pittsburgh guy. If he went to the Penguins, I think that would be cool.
I think if John Gibson wore all black pads like Jonas Hiller, I think I'd be a Gibson guy. I just don't think he's bought into the Ducks lifestyle, dude. Like, play a little homage, dude. Know your role. Earn your pinstripes, dude. Earn your wings.
Guy Bear.
Yeah, Guy Bear. LaSalle, Troy, New York. Brownie, this is a wild thing to put on the doc, but Nick Jensen, 3 years at 4.05 AAV.
What do you guys got?
I don't know. What do you got? That's my thing. I don't know anything about Nick Jensen. Was he a Bruin?
No.
I don't know. I just saw it and I was like, that's a pretty significant chunk.
Oh, he was a Red Wing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
He was a Red Wing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for a guy that I don't really know that much about. Dude.
That's why it's on the dock. I thought that I was like, what is Washington doing?
Yeah. Right.
He honestly, and you guys are going to hate this, although Ked only likes analytics when it supports the Rangers. He's like an analytic darling.
So is Adam Glendening, dude.
What's that?
So is Adam Glendening, dude.
Big transition.
Grizzlick.
Well, Grizzlick's like a plus 67 on the season. It makes no fucking sense.
I know.
Cliffy hockey, dude. Grant Fuhrer was a trailblazer. Fuhrer was the first black player to win a Stanley Cup, the first to be named an MVP in the NHL All-Star Game, and first black player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I had no idea of that.
All right, random stat of the day.
Yeah.
Dude.
Talk about random stat. Look at this one.
Yeah, Patty LaFontaine played 1 year of junior hockey in Quebec. He put up 104 goals, 130 assists for 234 points in 70 games played. Is that good?
Can you imagine how many kids tried to run him during that season?
Yeah. And he wasn't a big dude either.
No.
Like,
you want to talk about dirty hits? Pat LaFontaine was the king of leaving his feet and throwing his ass at people on the glass. The king of that.
Interesting.
I shook Pat LaFontaine's hand once. He dropped the puck at state semifinals when I was in like Pee-wees. Only reason I really remember that moment is because one of our parents sucker punched a ref in the parking lot afterwards. So.
You're having to line who the fuck that was.
That's great.
NHL expansion. According to some tweets from insiders, Bucci and Weeks, the NHL is eyeing going back to Atlanta. Alpharetta, actually, which is a part of the metropolitan Atlanta area. So after the original Thrashers lasted 8 years before moving to Calgary, they didn't move to Calgary. They moved to Winnipeg, didn't they? Oh, the original Thrashers, sorry. And the second incarnation lasted 12 years before going to Winnipeg. Bettman's back at it again. Good news is that Quebec City may get them when they reallocate again. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Why in the world would you put a hockey team back in Atlanta?
Because Bettman gets a hard-on for these things. Like, look at all the money they're dumping into hockey in Arizona. He's stubborn. He's a stubborn little prick.
I saw someone make the argument, right? Because I agree with this. And like people are saying that the two owners that owned Atlanta previously, the previous franchises, were just like, basically it was like real estate deals for them. Like they didn't give a shit about the team or the product, which is fair. But a team fails twice. Like that's kind of hard to do. And then like the argument that I hate is like, I would love a team in Quebec City, but people say it's like, we don't need to grow the game in Quebec. It's like, why is everything always relate to it? That's probably stupid to say. Why do we always have to grow the game, dude? Like, how many 10,000 people in the stands Florida Panthers games do I have to fucking watch before we can say, like, grow the game? Like, they're good. Kids will still play hockey in those states. They'll just watch cooler teams.
Bro, we've grown the game so much in the last 10 years, and all it has done is come up with all these fucking absolute weird dickheads who think they know shit about hockey that they don't know anything. So I'm completely on board. I don't think we should grow the game anymore.
You want to know my reasoning behind this? Why they're still hard on for Atlanta? Magic City. If you know, you know. If you've been to Atlanta,
is that like they're like strippers?
That would be a strip club, kid. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Supposedly the best wings in the planet too.
So I saw
that's sick, dude.
Yeah, it's lemon pepper wings.
The lemon pepper wings at Magic City.
That I think Magic City's the place when the NBA had the bubble, the players were getting in trouble.
Yep, that's 100% right.
Oh, can we really?
Harry Bettman's got that jungle fever, I guess.
I know I'm the guest on this, but did you guys see Ja Morant, the guy, the NBA player, on Instagram? Can you imagine? I was trying to think of a comparable, like if like Roman Yossi was waving a gun on Instagram Live after a game or some shit.
Dude,
like
he brought the gun on the team plane. They're saying.
Yeah, and the other thing that's funny, you guys were talking about allegedly earlier. People are saying allegedly he was doing. It's like, dude, that was a gun.
I heard someone today talking. They said what would be hilarious. What's his name? Giannis? Is that a basketball player? But I guess he's like a super nice guy. They said it would be hilarious if Giannis recreated that video, but did it with like a super soaker and put it out there. They said that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, but then John Morant might shoot you, dude.
That's what I thought. Right. But then you're gonna get shot. Yeah,
that's fair. One other thing, Bill, different story of the week. In the last game of the 93-94 season, the St. Louis Blues had already locked up a playoff seeding, and Brendan Shanahan retired to their dressing room for some stitches from a Keith Kachuk high stick. Shanny had no intention of returning, but then was told by one of the staff he needed a few penalty minutes to become the second player ever to have 50 goals, 100 points, and 200 penalty minutes in a single season. Shannon came back out, scored 2 goals, and then fought Kachuk before the final buzzer to earn his penalty minutes. That's pretty fucking cool.
That's the best.
That's Bill.
Every week, at least once a week, I feel it's either Shanahan or Billy Guerin that we're sucking off.
Fucking Bill different, dude. Like,
and I'm fine with it. I'm just saying.
Pickerin's gonna do that shit? No, it's because we grew the game, dude. I'm
not a Shanahan guy.
Oh no,
because he went to the Leafs and because he put on a fucking suit for a few years.
Well,
Shanahan was tough as shit, dude.
I used to have his curve. I loved his curve.
Why don't you like Shanahan, dude? Shanahan was tough as fuck.
And
he had a goatee, dude. People with goatees immediately do not fuck with.
That's the beard thing.
He doesn't seem like he would shake my hand. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think Shanahan would. I think he would.
Agree to disagree.
I don't think he'd shake my head. All right, we're an hour and 6 minutes in, so we're gonna have to fly through this deadline.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
Anaheim, they got fly
through once they hear it's 3 of us, people just are expecting a boomer, and it's the trade deadline extravaganza, so don't worry about it. Listen,
we're gonna go.
All right, so hold on right now. We're an hour 6 in. If it's too much for you, pause now, go to the bathroom, make a sandwich, come back on your way home from work on your commute, and we'll be right here, all 3 of us.
Yeah, and I listen to you guys all the time. Like, I don't fucking make it an hour straight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Yeah, okay. Hal, there's no fucking way you listen to 15 minutes and then at a different time during the week continue on listening to that podcast.
Yeah, I do, because the last time I listened, I was just coming off the high of going to the Winter Classic, and I had to listen to you guys talk about how fucking stupid it is and it lost its lackluster. Brownie, you would have had the goddamn time of your life, so I turned that shit off. I turned it off, and I came back a few weeks later. I've been stewing on this for a minute. Winter Classic
talk about it
on TV is pretty irrelevant nowadays. Like, I agree with that, but like the reviews from the Carolina game, my experience at the Bruins game, like people are like, "Oh, like the view sucks." It's like, you've been to a baseball game. Like, I was on the Green Monster. Like, you can see first base from across the fucking field. Like,
you were on the Green Monster watching it?
Yeah, front row Green Monster.
Yeah, dude, not everybody gets front row Green Monster tickets to the fucking.
Yeah, but the lights were on the opposite side of the field. It was on the first baseline, okay?
That's like trying to tell somebody in the fucking 600s, hey, listen, dude, going to hockey games are really cool when you're fucking on the glass, dude.
Oh, and dude, the other thing, I'll tell this really quick. I'm sorry, you just said it's a long podcast.
You get a Fenway Frank?
No, I'm actually at baseball games. I'm a sausage and peppers guy. I actually like the sausage and peppers. Anyway,
no, really quick about the Fenway Frank though. Did they keep the same like menu as a Red Sox game, or is it?
I don't know. So I was on the Monster, dude.
Warm food.
I was on the Monster. It was catered. They came up to me.
Like it was all closed, dude. I had the choice between like Sam C's. The beer choices were kind of brutal. There were some negatives, but because we were sitting there, right? Like, you know how they do like the big thing where like they had the American flag drape over the Green Monster? They came up to us 10 minutes before. They're like, hey, listen, like, sorry, there's like these flag guys. You're gonna have to step back really quick. And they're gonna just like drop the flag. And they're like, but don't let them stand there, because if you don't tell them to move, they won't fucking leave. I was like, what are they talking about? And I was expecting like
they're like volunteers,
professional crew to come. Yeah, dude, it was like the local like plumbers union from like Quincy,
local Boston militia, dude.
They all
union kids,
in like work, like rundown Carhartt gear. Like, I loved it. Like, they were cool. I talked to them, but I totally understood at that point. Like, those guys were fucking loving it. They're like, nah. Anyway.
I'm surprised you didn't volunteer to help out with the flag, dude. That's what I would have done, dude. But
you're a hero, dude.
Not everybody bleeds red, white, and blue. All right, trade deadline time. We're just gonna go team by team, and we're gonna talk about who and what they got.
There you go.
All right. So Anaheim, they got
Wait,
Brock.
how about this? Why don't you read them and then we'll comment?
I thought that's what I was gonna do.
You didn't
Just
say.
don't read too fast, dude. Really enunciate. These are some tough words probably for you.
Brock McGinn and a 2024 third from the Pittsburgh Penguins.
This is Anaheim you're talking about.
Anaheim, Andre Schuster, Nikita Nesterenko, and a 2025 fourth round pick from the Minnesota Wild.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not.
I
They
feel
didn't
like
give
Brock
up much.
is a good player. Is he not a good player? I feel like he's solid.
Yeah, no.
I don't.
I think he's solid. I mean, he's not lighting the world on fire, but they need steady players.
I feel like he always scores when they play the Rangers. Like that guy always scores against Shesterkin. I wish. Is there a website that you can look up and see how many goals a player has on a certain goalie?
Probably.
If there is,
I did want to throw this out there with Anaheim. I feel like all the shitty teams, Chicago, Nashville, Arizona, they all got a ton of assets. Like really, Anaheim in the offseason, they signed Klingberg. Obviously, we'll get to where he goes. He plays like shit. They get like a fourth round pick for him. Like they have guys like Henrique. To me, Adam Henrique's a guy that like Anaheim, what are you doing with him? Like I'm sure if you ate Adam Henrique's salary, someone would have given like a second minimum. Like I just thought from Anaheim's perspective, you're tanking there's so many sellers or buyers in the East. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, I think that what they did is to keep the play hard and tank for Bedard going. They got enough guys that are middle of the road to keep them floating along, and they just acquired picks to not upset the apple cart. Like the worst thing that could happen to Anaheim is they got in some new players and they ripped off like 12 wins in 15 games.
Yeah, and I know,
You know what I mean?
I agree, but I'm not saying they should have brought players in. I'm just saying they should have sold fucking everybody. Like this is your.
They want to
chance.
have some stuff for if they get Bedard too. It's a tight line they got to walk.
Yeah, it's just like, is John Gibson going to be in the McTavish, Zegras, possibly Bedard window? Like I know the goalie market was kind of tough. Like I don't know. If I was Anaheim, I would have tried to sell the fucking house.
It's hard to sell the house when you got a guy like Frankie Vetrano and Ryan Strome on the team. Two good guys there. Arizona, Jacob Voracek in a sixth in 2023 from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Michael Kesserling in a 2023 third from the Edmonton Oilers. A 2025 conditional third-round pick from the Rangers. Brett Ritchie and Connor Mackey from Calgary. And a conditional first-round pick that's top 5 protected. If that happens, it goes to the 2024. And a 2024 conditional second-round pick. If they reach the Eastern Conference Finals, it becomes a first-round pick. And a 2026 second-round pick. Sheesh.
That was a lot.
I wish I had the stat. Isn't it like 56% of their cap goes to players that aren't even playing?
Yeah,
or something like that.
And they're like a bank, like Minnesota, hold them for other people's salary. I just think it was hilarious that they traded the Richies for each other.
Yeah.
You know what pisses me off about Arizona though? The Ritchie story is great. Chychrun, right? So they've been dangling Chychrun for fucking ever. They take on the Jacob Voracek money. You just mentioned it. Like half of their salary goes to guys who don't play for them. And then it turns out that part of the reason they didn't get as much as they wanted for Chychrun is because they refused to eat any of his fucking salary.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what you guys do? They were like, wait, no, we can't eat salary.
It was like a tough hill to die on, you know?
Bomb that team.
Yeah, it was a weird hard line to take after everything else they did. They had like Pronger's money for like 5 years after he was retired, remember?
Bobby Bonilla, dude.
They're probably paying Rick DiPietro right now.
All right, so Buffalo, Jordan Greenway from Minnesota. All right, the Bruins, we'll talk about the Beast, dude. So here's the thing. We're going to talk about the Rangers a little bit. We're going to talk about the Leafs in a little bit. We're going to talk about how they got like these big name guys, right? You look at the Bruins, I wouldn't really consider any of these guys big name guys, but you guys absolutely 1,000% addressed. There aren't any issues on your team. You just made your hard to play against team even harder to play against. Does that make sense?
I don't remember if it was a group text between the three of us or the last time Hal was on the podcast and you asked us what we'd want the Bruins to do at the deadline. Mm-hmm. And we both said a defensive depth and an asshole up front.
Well, it makes sense because every year you guys go to the playoffs and Brandon Carlo fucking gets hurt.
Okay.
Right?
So what they did.
Am I wrong about that? I'm not even being a dick. Is he not?
No, he gets hurt. I mean,
he gets injured
he
before
does
the
get hurt.
playoffs, dude.
But okay. So you mentioned this, and you do that immediately with your first deal. You get Garnet Hathaway, who spits on people. He's
they
a
exceeded
motherfucker
it in the first deal because Orlov's a top 4.
Yes, and you got Orlov. So you got all this, and I'm immediately thinking this is gonna fucking suck to play against this team.
Hathaway's a dick.
It's awful, right? I don't know who Shane Bowers is.
He's a depth player, but he's a good prospect.
So I'm thinking the Bruins are fucking done. I'm like, they got their people, they got their defensemen, and then I fucking wake up on trade deadline day to a text from Hals saying we got Tyler Bertuzzi, and I'm like, you have got to be fucking kidding me, dude. Like,
LTIR, Taylor Hall got hurt.
This is, if you guys don't win the cup, is this like the biggest waste of, now I'm not going to say talent, but biggest waste of a well put together hockey team of all time? If you guys are teetering, aren't you guys teetering on breaking the record for the most wins and like points in NHL history? So here's my thing. Here's the other side of it. Is there a lot of pressure now? No. I feel like there isn't because of the makeup you guys have, and I think Bergeron and Marchand understand, like, okay, cool, if we get that, whatever, but I really don't think they give a fuck about that. I think they give a fuck about winning a cup, which is...
Well, I think the biggest thing, too, is that, remember, going into the season, me included, everyone said they have to stay close while McAvoy and Marchand were out, and look what they did.
I mean, I told you they were going to be good.
Yeah, no, you're right.
No, I absolutely did not. I was one of the people that said they might not make the playoffs because Marchand's out until November.
But they've already exceeded expectations, and I think their veteran core leadership is enough to ride them through. You know, I think there's pressure on them, but I think their pressure is the strive for excellence that they put on themselves. I don't think it's outside pressure.
All right.
And I think Montgomery, I think if they still had Butchie, then it would be a different type of pressure.
Yeah.
Right? Because he had everybody kind of walking around on eggshells by the end of his time. Cassidy, I blanked on his name. But I think Montgomery keeps good vibes.
I think two things. My first thing, if this was the Rangers, I think this affects Kreider and Zibanejad a hell of a lot more than it affects Bergeron and Marchand, which is something I've been saying for fucking years.
That's one of my notes. I can tell you this now. I wrote it down. The game that the Rangers played the Bruins the other night or the other afternoon, whenever it was, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think Kreider and Zibanejad were playing except for Zibanejad on the playoffs. They disappeared.
They disappeared. And then my second thing, they obviously won a cup. I guess it is kind of long ago. It feels like it's not that long ago, but is this that, like, when you guys won the cup, how you felt about that team compared to how you feel about this team? Are there any similarities? Like, do you guys, when they won the cup, were you like, this is a special group, and now you feel like this is a special group? Or when you guys won the cup, you went into the playoffs not really knowing what was going to happen? Like, did you guys know that you were a wagon? These are just questions that I have.
I felt this way about the 2019 team, which is probably bad, but I just remember, like, 2019, it's like the similar, like, you can just tell, like, when a team likes each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, when they're boys, like 2019, I just remember right around the trade deadline, they were like getting hammered at Disney World and shit, and it was like, all right, cool, like, we're going on a run. You know what I mean? I don't really have like a specific example to go off of on that for this season, but like, it just kind of seems like it's like the boys.
I think there was a video today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they do the pucks and paddles, I think they call it, like a charity thing. They play ping pong with fans. You can bid to go and all this.
Probably so they're copying Dominic Moore. Okay.
Garnet Hathaway was like such a big personality in the video I saw. He had like kids. He was running through the crowd, high-fiving. He was getting everybody fired up. And I'm like, he's been here like a week and a half, and this is how he's acting. Fucking great.
I think you can almost tell, like what Hal just mentioned, like you said, you don't know if there's any points where like they're boys. I think you can honestly just tell by the coaching, right? Like DeBrusk wants to be there. Krejci came back. You can tell, like, you guys, and you also mentioned a good point, because back in 13, I think it was 13-14 when the Rangers went to the cup, like, I kind of felt that about them. Like, their fourth line was Boyle, Dorsett, and Moore, and you're like, okay, like, this team's going to fuck. Third line, Pouliot, Zuccarello, Brassard. It was like, holy shit, like, they're really good. I get where you're coming from when you say that. And I don't know. I kind of want to say I'd be nervous if I was you guys, but at the same time, like, I don't. Like I watched that game the other night when you guys got dominated by the Flames, and I still bet the Bruins and they won.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's the playoffs, dude. I feel like they could easily lose. I don't know. I have confidence. I have a lot of confidence in the team. I think they can beat anybody, but like anything can fucking happen.
As a Bruins fan, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, as your first two lines can pump the fucking net full of pucks, and then your second two lines, nobody wants to be on the ice if those guys are out there. Like it's like what the fuck. And then at one point or another, you're gonna have McAvoy on the ice. You're gonna have Dmitry Orlov on the ice, and I don't know who your third set.
Hampus Lindholm.
Yeah, whoever that is. Like you guys are gonna have like pretty. I also thought it was cool when Orlov scored. How happy the boys were when they went in and like fucking celebrated with him. I don't think Orlov's ever felt that in his life. Like,
he's got more points in like 8 games than he had all year with Washington or something like that.
Star of the week. This is a side note because I know you just shit on Kreider, but Hathaway and Kreider playing on like the same line in prep school hockey, like that must have been one of the craziest prep school teams ever. And Phillips Andover's a bunch of nerds, so it kind of checks out. Like Hathaway went to Brown, like Kreider's a nerd, but that was probably sick to watch.
I wish that they had pictures of what their dorm rooms looked like, and you would have Chris Kreider's room and Garnet Hathaway's room, and you could immediately tell who was staying in your room.
You want to talk about the only guy who doesn't look tough with a fucking goatee is Kreider. Good
he
Lord.
looks like a fucking idiot, dude. Buffalo, Jordan Greenway. Where is he from in New York? He's from New York.
Canton, New York, brother.
New York.
Yeah, I think they gave up like a second and something else, and he can't score. So, like, I want to hate it, but I don't know if you watched last night. He was bullying somebody on the ice. Like, Buffalo's fun to watch. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, they are. They're a goalie and maybe another score away from, like, really fucking doing
their goalie's playing at Northeastern, lighting it up. So,
yeah.
And I know, like, a lot of times guys don't want to play where they're from, but, like, I feel like the Sabres are the exception. And I know, like, people, if you're not from New York City and you play for the Sabres, it's like their hometown team. But it's like Tuck's from Syracuse, right? Because, like, Syracuse isn't Buffalo. People act like Tuck's from Buffalo.
Yeah, but he wanted to play there, though.
The only reason Tuck is a Sabres fan is because of Chris Drury.
Yes. I don't know what you're getting at.
Think about it. Think about how old he is. The Sabres were like really good there for a couple years when they had Drury, Briere, Finneganov. Like they were nasty during that little stretch of time. Like that would. So again, it's just another New York Ranger who's making the league better.
I'm just saying. I just think it's one of the few teams where like hometown players seem to thrive. So right,
like AJ Greer at the Bruins, grew up a Bruins fan and finally got there.
That guy, I cannot believe that. You guys still think that he grew up a Bruin fan. That's insane.
I don't.
That's what he says.
Calgary, Dryden Hunt. This is like his 15th this year. And they got Nick Ritchie and Troy Stetcher from Arizona. I don't really want to talk about Calgary. Can we move on? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Jesse Puljujarvi went to Edmonton. This could be interesting because him and Sebastian Aho played a little World Junior with each other and like national team and shit. This is a kid who never really, I don't think he ever really, made his mark in Edmonton. It was always kind of higher expectations for where he's at. If there's a place that you can go and be familiar with one of your countrymen's greatest players right now and a coach who seems to get the best out of his players, this would be a pretty good setup for him.
Well, I think Puljujarvi, he's one of those guys that doesn't operate well in the fishbowl, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes to Carolina and no one's paying attention, barely. Yeah. He might drive.
I don't give a shit about Puljujarvi. That doesn't make a difference to me. But Gostisbehere, right, who they also got I think he's got 4 points in 2 games, all 4 points on the power play. I know Brett Burns is there now, but if you look at Carolina, they're like 20th in the league in power play, I want to say. They're the only team in the playoff picture who isn't like top 16 in like power play percentage or something.
I think that's a Rod Brindamore thing, dude. You bitch so much about getting on the power play. By the time you get on the power play, you're kind of like, oh my God, coach finally shut up.
I guess. That's I don't know. I know he's soft.
Rod. There's your power play, you big baby.
Yeah. He's got a power play specialist now. I think that's kind of like the key move they made.
I can't wait for them to be eliminated in the first round.
Carolina. Brownie, what are your thoughts on Carolina?
I hate them. I mean, they're a very good team
too, but
they're a very good team. Last year, I was like, oh, their goalies are hurt. Fuck yeah, give them the Bruins. And we all know how that worked out. I just can't stand teams like Carolina, Toronto, St. Louis, where it's all fucking the Devils, where everybody's I fucking hate it. Absolutely drives me crazy. And Rod the Bod's a fucking whiny twat. I've said it multiple times on this podcast.
But you're more than welcome to come on the podcast if you ever want to.
And confront me.
Having that realization that it was Rod the Bod that started the storm surge was pretty hilarious to me.
Yeah,
too.
that was. I would have bet my life that would be the last person I would have thought that would have done that. But then when he said Justin Williams got involved, I'm like, okay, that kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Captain Clutch.
Chicago, Andreas England, Anton Khudobin, and a 2025 second. Andy Walensky, a conditional 2023 second and a 2025 fourth. Joey Anderson, Pavel Gogolev, a first and a second from Toronto. Nikita Zaitsev, a 2023 second and a 2026 fourth from Ottawa, and Austin Wagner.
Chicago has been promoting, if you look at any of their stuff, they're like 14 picks in the next, they're promoting this. They're trying to spin anything. Like, hey, forget about how we fucked Patrick Kane on the way out the door.
Yeah.
I'm
glad they did.
Brownie, did you make this list?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Bruins' greatest prospect ever, Anders Bjork, went to the Blackhawks.
Right.
3 assists last night. 3 assists last night. He's back.
Traded him.
Hometown boy.
They traded him for what's the Cheveldae, right? For Buffalo?
Yeah.
He said, I promised Anders that we would send him where he could play. Was his quote.
The worst team in the league.
Yeah.
3 apples. Colorado gets Jack Johnson. Well, they get former Rangers. Jack Johnson, Keith Kincaid, and Gustav Rydal, dude. Gustav, guys, the season is over, but it's worth it. So,
are you guys surprised, kind of like Colorado being stagnant?
I don't think they're that good, dude. They're not going to win. You already know why they're not going to win. Because they have the worst fucking goalie in the league. They're not going to fucking do anything. They fucked themselves when they signed him. The moment they signed him, they went from Stanley Cup contender to just,
Landeskog's still not playing, right?
Nah, I don't know.
I don't think he's back.
I'm going to say something. I'll wait until we get to the team.
Right.
Columbus, John Gillies, Jonathan Quick, who then got packaged to Vegas. Michael Hutchinson, 5th from Minnesota. The Jonathan Quick thing was crazy. They play a game, he gets out. It's like midnight on the East Coast, and they're like, okay.
He had to fly back with the team.
Yeah. I'm sure that
I wonder if they're still doing that statue.
That was probably fucking awkward.
And he was pissed, right? Didn't they say
yeah.
he was pissed?
He was livid.
But now he's on Vegas, which I really hope they play.
Did you see Columbus were like, thanks for the memories and put out a picture and everything? It was great.
Well, I'm sure he was pumped that they traded him. Like, thanks.
I'm sure they told him immediately, listen, we're going to move you. Yeah.
I got 2 takes on him. One, listen, he's a great American goalie, legend of the Kings, won cups.
Hall of Famer.
How many times can you lose your job to like Phoenix Copley or that kid that they signed to the contract last year, Cal Peterson, or like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but from what everyone says about Quick, he's that guy that it's like the Tom Brady thing. You know what I mean? Quick's that guy that, oh, you gave up on me. Now watch me fucking light the world on fire.
Yeah, and I if I was the Kings, I'd be terrified to play him in the playoffs, but
I hope it happens, right? Won't that be great?
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I just like last year he had an .876 save percentage in the playoffs. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think they're better.
Drew Doughty too, remember? For the Kings. Remember Doughty was out for the playoffs last year.
True. I just think
he had the playoffs this year too because the Keandre Spit affected him so much that he got a 3-game suspension. So we don't know if he's going to be available for playoffs. So
you're saying Keandre Miller had some transferable like sexual disease that he gave?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what the league is saying by suspending 3 games.
Allegedly.
Dallas, Evgeny Dadonov from Montreal. Montreal retained 50%, and they got Max Domi and Dylan Wells. I saw Max Domi scored the other night. Fink is a big Max Domi
listen, guy. Can I go on a little bit of a tangent here?
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand Max Domi, right? I think he's very overrated, number one. Number two, and I've long stand this, any of my former players that are listening to this know exactly what I'm going to say when I talk about this guy. Fuck Mark Wahlberg, okay? So Wahlberg is buddies with Domi's dad, Ty Domi. And did you see this fucking chooch put on a Dallas jersey. He's like, oh, I wish he was on my Bruins and put on a fucking Dallas with Domi. Fuck you. Don't say my Bruins and then put on a Dallas sweater. You can both fuck off. There you go.
Especially when you're the guy who left the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl when they were down 28-3 at halftime.
And you're also the guy who found Jesus when you wanted to get your fucking hate crime expunged. So you could get
counter argument.
Counter argument. You guys signed Mitch Miller, so maybe he's over with your guys' answer.
I was just gonna say, like, we can't forget if Mark Wahlberg was on that plane.
Oh yeah, fuck him. How disrespectful is that? Fucking asshole.
That's something Ken would say.
Fuck you.
Go ahead, go to Detroit.
Detroit, 2023 conditional first from the Islanders and a second from Vancouver, a fourth from Minnesota. Dylan McLaughlin, 2025 seventh from St. Louis, a 2024 first and a 2025 fourth from Boston. So they got their picks, which is good for a team that's going to be rebuilding. I'm good with what Detroit did, I think. Right?
Yeah, I think it was smart. They got the most they could out of the assets they had, And Stevie Y, I mean, you look what he built in Tampa Bay. No one can fall. You got to believe in him until it goes south, right?
I guess we'll get to it, Vancouver. Philip Hronek is a weird one to me.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
So this is what, remember a little bit ago, I was like, I'm going to mention this, whatever. This is my team to beat in the West. I just think this is McDavid's year to kind of go off.
Well, this first one could have been the key.
You look at, I almost think the second one. I think you look at what the Bruins did. I think that made them way better. You look at what the Rangers did, and you have your fingers crossed that these guys are going to produce. Same with Toronto with O'Reilly. I think them picking up Matthias Ekholm makes them a so much harder team to play against because he is a motherfucker, dude. He's a big body. He hacks all the fucking time. They got Nick Bukestad to add a little bit more depth to that fourth line center role with Cam Dineen. I don't know who Patrick Pustala is, but I'm looking at the teams in the West, and the only team that if the Rangers were to play in a 7-game series that I would be worried about, and I'm not even trying to be cocky remotely, I would be worried about the Oilers and quite literally nobody else.
I think you still have to worry about Colorado just because of the weapons.
Yeah, until you just put a puck on net.
Well, then it's like 8-7 games, right?
We got sidetracked with the Mark Wahlberg, but the Stars to me are kind of a sneaky team because I do believe like Ottinger might be one of the few goalies that could go on a crazy run against
that's fair. Good call.
But I still think that's wrong. I would agree
Oilers
are the favorites.
I would envision Patrick Kane and Tarasenko and Panarin just putting Nils Lundkvist in a blender, though, so I'm not too worried about them. But with the Oilers, I would be. Florida did nothing. They're all set. No thanks. The Kings got Vladislav Gavrikov and Jonas Korpisalo. I don't like what they did to Quick, but I think this is a pretty good deal for them. I don't know much about this.
It's an upgrade from like what Hal was saying about Quick's numbers last year. Korpisalo is an upgrade from that. Mm-hmm. If Quick goes on a run and regains some of his old form, then it won't be. But I mean,
and I don't know anything about this Vladislav guy. He just got brought up a ton because he was like the defenseman that nobody knew about every year that comes across the deadline, where it's like this is the most guy that everybody wants.
Isn't he like a big stay-at-home guy?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, he is. He is. He actually scored a goal in his first, or I think it was his third game now. Scored a goal last night. I think by all accounts, like if I was reading actually some Kings blogs about it because this guy had me curious because you know how Jarmo Kekalainen was crying that Don Sweeney left him at the table and he thought the deal was done.
DNA, dude.
So that's when you're supposed to talk about Mitchell Miller. But they're basically saying that Gavrikov reminds them kind of like Willie Mitchell when they went on playoff runs, which makes sense. A lot of people saying he's been their best defenseman the first 3 games. Like, I don't know. I was happy the Bruins passed on him and it ended up with Orlov, but I think Gavrikov is like pretty big guy. And if you think about the Kings, like they have some young D, Mikey Anderson, that Walker kid. Do you know what I'm talking about? Sean Walker. We used to have like a Kings super fan who used to talk about him. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But Walker was quoted after like an intermission the other night being like, Gavrikov saved my ass like 10 times this game already.
He's like a big like a Hal Gill, but that can skate, right?
Yeah, he's a little bit smaller. He's not like overly like throws huge hits, but he's definitely like cross-checking from the net block.
He's got that huge reach too, doesn't he?
Yeah, and just like Russian strength.
Yeah.
Hal, I haven't heard the name Willie Mitchell in years. Thank you for that.
Great player, though, right?
Great player. He really was. And they got Zach McEwen for Brendan Lemieux. I think that's a good deal for the Kings. Zach McEwen would be good for the fucking playoff run. Nate
Were
Sharp.
you a Scuderi guy? Either of you?
So
Scuderi?
the only Scuderi story I know is Jay Latula, friend of the program, played at Clarkson. He played with Scuderi's brother, and Scuderi's brother hated Brandon Dubinsky because Brandon Dubinsky cheap shot Rob Scuderi one time. That's really the only Scuderi story I have. So
love it.
They remember. Minnesota, Gustav Nyquist, Marcus Johansson, Andrei Svetlakov, a fifth from Washington, a second and a 20, and a fifth from Buffalo, a fourth from Toronto, Oscar Sundqvist from Detroit, and John from Anaheim. Out of all these, I like Sundqvist. And isn't Nyquist kind of low key, can score some goals?
You want to talk about guys who can score goals? You want a little bit of a playoff run? Marcus Johansson has that ability still.
Oh, yeah. He was just like the Eric Holla for you guys. The best fucking second liner in the league. When he
Mojo.
Right?
Third line.
He was third line. He was great with Charlie Coyle.
They, I think Johansson, I don't know. It's weird because Johansson, I think, makes sense on the third line, right? They struggle to score goals. They already have a ton of grit and sandpaper. They have defensive centers up the middle, so they get a couple of scoring wings. Nyquist, I think he's got 3 shorties on the year. He's just your typical Swedish veteran, 40 points a year, plays the right way kind of guy. But I also, and I don't know if you guys got the same feeling, I'm kind of out on Billy Guerin right now. John Klingberg sucked this year. I understand
he's on there for 2 things: outlets and power play. That's it. Guerin, on one of the interviews I listened to, Guerin was basically he didn't come out and say this, but he was yeah, we understand defensively he's not that good. That was basically what he was saying.
I know. I agree. I just don't think they're good enough.
You don't like that he helped facilitate the Toronto deal. That's why you're lashing out on Billy Guerin right now.
Well, no, they did that. They did it for the Bruins too. They ate salary for the Bruins, which is the other thing. It's I know they only ate maybe 500,000 or something like that on both trades, but it's maybe mix in one more player. I know they moved Greenway out. They're in cap hell for the next 3 years because of the buyouts from the worst free agency of all time. Right. I was just kind of surprised to be him being the guy grabbing 4th round picks for retained money. That's usually that's Arizona business. How many teams are in the playoff picture are retaining salary?
You guys are talking about Marcus Johansson he's this fucking great player. How much happy are you guys at your third line now compared to having him on it? Right now, this year. Not back.
Yeah, but he was on the Bruins 5 years ago. I'm just saying he can go short spurts still, he can make a difference.
Never been a Mojo guy. I am a Mojo. Montreal, Dennis Gurianov from Dallas and Frederick Allard from the Kings.
Make it look like you're not tanking. That's what that was.
I know he's always injured. Do you ever think a guy like Gallagher could get traded? They'd have to eat a ton of salary. But I just feel there's a couple guys on that team. Montreal probably doesn't want to sell, even though they stink. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like Montreal is a whole different environment. They're almost like that Toronto bubble. And if they start selling, it's going to be like Vancouver Riots.
Yeah, good point.
Nashville, it's a second pick from Pittsburgh. Cal Foote, a 2023 third, fourth, fifth, a 2024 second, and a 2025 first from Tampa for Tanner Jeannot. A 2024 second from Winnipeg, Tyson Barrie, Reed Schaefer, 2023 first, and a 2024 fourth from Edmonton, and Rasmus Asplund from the Buffalo Sabres. A lot of picks. I think in terms of getting the biggest haul for a player, definitely goes to Predators for the Tanner Jeannot deal. However, you see Tampa do this every fucking year, and Tampa always goes on these long runs, and at the time you're like, what the fuck are they doing? And it always works out. So
I thought Poyle did a great job. That's why I'm kind of questioning the teams that didn't do anything. He saw the return on shit. I thought he did a really good job maximizing Jeannot. He got Ekholm, ton of stuff for Ekholm too. They're loaded with picks, and they're not that bad. I feel bad for Ryan McDonough, probably not what he expected. But for Poyle's goodbye Nashville, I would say A+ job. Also, I'm a big Rasmus Asplund guy. I was kind of shocked that Buffalo moved on from him. I thought he was a good bottom six.
Plus him, not only him, but I think that Tyson Barrie, how happy is he right now? He's thank God I'm in Nashville. I mean, he's been the whipping boy for the last 5 years everywhere he's been.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I was thinking about that too. Like, yeah, he was on a cup contender, and I know he was like kind of like a player favorite in that locker room. Like, no income tax, like no one's yelling at you anymore. Like,
Right.
he seems like a guy who just likes to drink beers and be on the power play, and I think that's a good spot for
That video of him walking in, meeting everybody was so fucking awkward, though.
Oh, I didn't see
Hey,
it.
I'm Tyson. Like,
Oh,
it was strange.
That is awkward though. It's kind of shitty for them to film that and put that out.
Yeah, I think so too. The Devils, they got their guy Timo Meyer, Timur Braganov, Scott Harrington, Santeri Hotkaka, Zachary Edmond.
When I was typing this up, I was laughing
This
because I'm
is
like, good
so
luck,
bad.
Ted.
And a 2024 fifth from San Jose, and they also got Curtis Lazar. So obviously Timo
Someone
Meyer.
threw a bunch of Scrabble tiles down the stairs.
Timo Meyer was obviously the big get, but I also think Curtis Lazar helps him out quite a bit.
Curtis Lazar, not only did they get Curtis Lazar, but he's got, I think, 2 more years at term.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great
That one
pickup.
mil.
I love Curtis Lazar.
I did too. I really like Lazar. I liked what they did. Ked's gonna hate this right now. I thought I'm a big Timo Meyer guy. I think what do you say? What do all hockey players say? Pucks on net. No one puts more pucks on the net in the league than Timo Meyer, and they're putting him on a line with Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes. Like Ked can deny this all he wants, and I know it's a hodgepodge, weird group of guys. Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes both have crazy vision. The passes that those two guys make and like their like electricity is off the board. Their talent's off the board. Like obviously their grit, their ability to win the playoffs, that's all questionable. But like I just think that's a very good line. Heishier now has a better line. You look at a guy like Hollag now gets the slot in the third line. Miles Wood's on the fourth line again, and he's like fucking mucking it up, Miles Wood style. I just think their whole team, like Miles Wood, Lazar, like that all makes sense. Like who's that kid? Who's there? Like Dawson Mercer? He's been lighting it up. I know there's questions in goalie. I still don't like their D that much, but I love their trade deadline. Ked, I don't know if you want a rebuttal, but I will give Ked one positive nugget. Here's Timo Meyer's stats tonight. No goals, no assists, a -4, no shots, and 1 penalty that they scored.
Quite the playmaker. Who are they playing?
He's not a playmaker, you fucking idiot. You just listen to what I
Who are
said.
they playing?
I don't know who the Devils played. They played the Leafs.
You talk about a team, though, you say it's a bunch of weird guys. Clearly, Dougie Hamilton is like the second coming there. The guy has been like a round peg in a square hole everywhere, and they love him.
And the weird thing, that's so weird to me, like, and you just pumped me down so much. I was kind of feeling the Devils for a minute, and then it's like,
how's that feel, Hal? Yep.
I still think it was a good trade deadline.
No, it was a good trade deadline, but they don't have a goalie. They're a palms up team, which never works in the playoffs. When Jack Hughes, the game that the Bruins played against Devils, he avoided contact. We talked about it, Ked. He avoided contact like 5 or 6 times, just gave up the puck.
Yeah.
So for all your skilled and talent, and then you go in the All-Star game and you're on a line with Sid and Ovi and you don't get a point. Yeah. I'm good.
With the Devils, if you shut down Jack Hughes in a 7-game series, you're going to win that series.
100%.
I think that's going to be harder said than done again.
It's almost like you just need one player who can throw a hit that can change an entire series.
If I'm Miles Wood, one of the fastest like north-south skaters in the league, I'm just running your goalie, the Rangers goalie. I can't even think of his name because I just can't get Sorokin off my mind right now.
Last year's
New York City goalie.
Last year's Vezina winner,
Jaro Halak. That's the Rangers goalie.
Thank you, Brownie. I knew he played for the Bruins.
Islanders, they got Bo Horvat, and they also big deal Pierre Engvall from Toronto. So, away, Lou. We're gonna talk about the Rangers now. They got Vladimir Tarasenko and Nico Mikkola, Tyler Mott from Ottawa, Patrick Kane, Anton Blee, and Wyatt Kalanick. Tarasenko, it seemed like he took a couple games to kind of figure it out, but he's looking pretty decent right now. Tyler Mott got hurt on a dirty hit by Austin Watson, which I will talk about in a little bit. And they got Patty Kane, which was kind of crazy because everybody thought, you're going to get Tarasenko. Kane's out the window. Kane still wanted to go to New York, and the Rangers have been playing with like 11 forwards and 5D to make sure that happened. I'm
not giving you a hard time. This is not. I'm not trying to piss you off. The game I watched, the only look at Hal's already laughing. The only game I've watched of the Rangers since the trade deadline was against the Bruins. Patrick Kane looked fucking miserable. Miserable.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. I know reading body language is a fool's game, but he just did not look like he was enjoying himself. And they were in it at the time. It wasn't till I'm not talking about when the game was out,
I think a couple of things kind of go into this. The fact that playing with 11 forwards and 5D definitely suck. I think
that's fair. Yeah.
I think the fact that they got Kane and there was no practices. They haven't had a practice up until I think today. They play Thursday.
4 days off, right?
Yeah, and they play Thursday, so I think the practice will definitely help the power play click and shit like that. On paper, dude.
Yeah.
It looks really fucking good. Like, your first line is going to be Kreider, Zibanejad, Tarasenko.
So Tarasenko's by himself.
Your second line is going to be Patty Kane, Vincent Trocheck, Artemi Panarin. Your third line, Filipino, Capo Caco, Alexi Lafreniere, and then a fourth line of Tyler Mott, Barclay Goodrow, and who am I fucking blanking on right now? Who the fuck am I blanking on right now?
Your fourth line?
Team, bro.
Yeah, fourth line. Mott, Goodrow, Jimmy Vesey. Classic.
Oh, Vesey. Right.
And then you're going to have...
Vesey was scrapping with somebody in the Bruins game.
Was it Cliffy?
No, Forbert threw it.
Oh, Forbert, right. It made me think of Chara and Brendan Smith. Like Forbert's like, someone come get him.
Oh my God. And then hopefully Lindgren's healthy. Fox, Lindgren, Mikula.
Lindgren's out now, right?
Schneider, yeah, he's out now. And then Trubin, Miller, Shesterkin, and that. On paper, it looks good. This team's on paper considerably better than last year's team that made it to the Eastern Conference Final. A lot of stuff to talk about, man. Like, I know the talent's there, but I look at a team like the Bruins, and I feel like the Bruins are probably a harder team to play against in a 7-game series than the Rangers. Unless the Rangers are fucking putting up 8 goals a game. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of grit there. And I think you need grit. You need guys blocking shots. You need to fucking wear down other teams' defensemen. And You're
not going to like this, but Igor looked leaky to me.
He looked leaky the whole fucking year, dude. Yeah. He's saving it for playoffs, just like Crosby. Okay. But I mean, what else do you guys have? Just fucking anything else?
I told you about Kreider and Zibanejad. I was just blown away by how they disappeared in that Bruins game.
If I could say anything, I would say my 2 thoughts. I think Brownie I agree with Brownie that King kind of looked like lost, not disinterested, just kind of like lurking. My personal opinion on the Kane thing is people need to let go of like the Panarin, Kane, Blackhawks. Like that was such a different dynamic. At that point, Patrick Kane was in his prime. He was the kind of like the person that could be the catalyst, and Panarin was the new rookie. Rules are reversed now. I think they need to kind of play that way, or I think they need to split it the fuck up. Like I personally thought Panarin and Tarasenko, the limited games I saw together, I thought it brought more out of Tarasenko than Kane brought out of the other two. And I look at like, I know you have the kid line and you like people love the kid line, but like,
are you gonna? If we're gonna keep the lines how they are now, I would move Trocheck down and Filipino up on that side.
I would put, if you could put like, who's your left wing on the third line? Lafreniere?
It's him or Capo.
Yeah, if like Hedl, Capo, or Lafreniere, and then Kane to me would be like interesting. Like I don't know, like switch it up. Like have 3 scary lines. Be like Phil Kessel on the Penguins' third line. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like split it up a little bit. Like you have firepower. And maybe it brings it out of the kids. I don't know. To me, the Panarin Kane thing, I'm probably just sick of fucking hearing you people.
Well, they're going to have to try it, though, in their defense. They got to try it at the beginning. And they have time to tinker. I will give you credit, Ked. You called that Noshik shorthanded goal.
Oh, my God. Can we talk about that? How crazy was that?
Before you go off on your thing, I just love the fact that Noshik scored and then stuffed his ass right in Igor's face. Thought that was fantastic. I was like, fuck yeah, Nosy.
I could not fucking believe that happened. When he scored, was that Noshik? And then Al texted, he's like, Ked called it, you fucking asshole. I sure did.
The other thing on your trade deadline, I'm going to throw this one out there. I feel like Nico Mikula is going to get caught in an absolute blender at some point in the playoffs with like a 3-minute shift with some first line bearing down. I think he's okay in sheltered 6 minutes. He takes stupid penalties, but for some reason I thought he was kind of a little bit cooler than he actually fucking is.
I think I agree with that. He's just a big dumb fucking idiot, and he just brings the fucking stick around the whole time. It's insane, but I don't know. We'll see, man. We will see. If we win the cup, I'll invite you guys to the parade.
Thanks, buddy.
Ottawa future considerations: Julian Gauthier, who's now scoring, of course. Jacob Chikrin, the exact opposite of Brendan Shanahan, and Patrick Brown from Philly. Whatever.
Ottawa's trying to make a little bit of a run here to grab that last spot, or the wild card. I mean, the last wild card spot.
Ottawa Buffalo last spot would be sick. Also, the Chikrin grandpa stuff's kind of cool. No,
I'm out on Jacob Chikrin.
I'm in. You know what's I'm curious.
I'm in on him because he's in Ottawa.
I kind of like him more now. And someone, I forget who it was. Someone stupid tweeted it out. I thought it was funny. Jacob Chikrin posted a thank you Arizona video. It got 37 retweets. It's and that's why Arizona shouldn't have a hockey team. Do you know what I mean? 37 retweets.
It could be because every year he's been there, he's demanded a trade.
Is that why you hate him? Because your captain's a guy who demanded a trade so he could be closer to his girlfriend in grad school.
Well, he went to the right fucking team, dude. If you're demanding a trade to the Rangers, it's all for it. But if you're demanding a trade not on the Rangers and you don't want to go to the Rangers, you're a fucking loser.
Go to Philly.
Brendan Lemieux in a 6th round from Arizona. I'm sure Lemieux and Tortorella are going to have a great time.
Brendan Lemieux is arguably the most irrelevant person in the NHL. We just sat there and talked about Zach McEwen being a good pickup for the Kings. If you think about it, though, Zach McEwen was bounced up and down to the AHL this year.
Mm-hmm.
Zach McEwen was probably the worst forward on arguably the worst forward group in the NHL, and he just got traded for fucking Brendan.
I just think he's cooler than Lemieux, dude.
Oh, yeah. McEwen's from PEI. He's got a 6 stash, and he could beat Lemieux up.
You're
right in the sense that Lemieux's more of a chaos creator, and it'll probably be fun to have him in the division. But also, I don't think I've heard from him since last year.
Yeah.
The Kings, though, it's that addition by subtraction. Wasn't he a huge distraction and not a lot of the guys liked him, allegedly?
Also a trade request guy, but he requested a trade to the Rangers, so we like him.
Exactly. And anytime you hear anybody saying that they don't like Lemieux or DeAngelo, that's strictly because of their politics.
Dude, I dislike.
I didn't even know I've never heard anything about Lemieux's politics.
Well, no, his politics are the same as DeAngelo. This happens to them every team that they go to. Everybody says none of the teammates like them, and then they ask the teammates, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I feel like that's a hard take, just because Brendan Lemieux's dad's literally is known as the worst teammate. That people loved in the playoffs, but he was the biggest dick ever. No one liked.
His stories are fucking hilarious, though.
They are hilarious, but I think Brendan Lemieux realistically didn't stand a chance because of his dad's reputation.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, they got Mikhail Granlund, Peter I don't know, Dmitry Kulikov, and Nick Bonino. I don't know what the fuck Pittsburgh.
Can you give it a shot? I don't have the list. Can you just give it a shot?
Peter
Deliberator.
The Deliberator.
Yeah, dangerous. It'll be nice to have a year when the Penguins don't make the playoffs, and I hope it's this year.
I think it is this year, and also Bonino.
They love Bonino there.
They love Bonino. Who else did you say they got? Kulikov
and Granlund.
What is this? What? They're just getting washed up, guys?
They bring it. It's like the reunion tour.
What the hell is that?
I swear this is the Rolling Stones' last North American tour. You got to buy tickets.
This is all news to me. I did not know the Penguins did these stupid trades. The whole offseason was Letang and Malkin are coming back one more. No.
Nothing screams one more like getting Mikhail Granlund, dude.
They were getting spanked tonight, too. I forget by who. Columbus. Columbus was up 3-0 on them tonight.
Columbus has always had Pittsburgh's number, dude.
This is a good name, Brownie.
San Jose, yeah, fuck off, dude. Fabian Zetterlund, Andreas Janssen, Shakir, Mukka Hamadulin.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, I think. Yeah.
Nikita Okatiuk, a 2023 first and a 2024 second and a 2024 seventh. This is what happens when you grow the game. You get fucking names like this where I'm just standing here. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? They got a 2024 second round pick.
You turned into Don Cherry.
If the Eastern Conference Finals, 2023 fifth and a seventh from Pittsburgh and a 2025 fourth from Winnipeg. Kind of an underwhelming return for Meyer, but I think they kind of did it to themselves. I feel like there was probably a better deal on the table that they turned down thinking there was going to be more than, because Dawson Mercer was a name that was popping up, and I don't know.
I think with these guys like Meyer.
Alex Holtz. Alexander Holtz was another name that was popping up for them.
I think they've been talking about moving these players for so long that everybody just made other deals.
Yeah.
And they kept saying no, waiting for the home run deal. Everybody else did everything else. And they were like, fuck, now what are we going to do?
I think you're going to see a lot of teams start doing that moving forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like normally it's deadline day. Like you're going to see a ton of shit. Tarasenko was taken off the list. Bo Horvat was taken off the list.
Every day, more and more guys.
And people started scrambling. Look at you guys got Orlov. The moment you guys got Orlov, Columbus was like, what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so
I think too, like I think Winnipeg was interested in him, but Winnipeg only wanted to get him if they could re-sign him. And I guess Meyer's like, I'm not going to Winnipeg, which is crazy because he played juniors with Ehlers, who's there. So it's kind of like, was Ehlers like, no, bro, don't come. Like Rich Bonus is benching me right now, and like we're on like a 4-game losing streak. That's crazy. This is irrelevant, but Nicholas Ehlers getting like 12 minutes of time like a night when he's almost a point per game player. It's wild. Did you guys see what Liam O'Brien said to Timo Meier? They were caught on a hot mic the other night.
That was the Timo Meier?
No, what did he say?
He pretty much said you're from Halifax and you didn't get laid because you're so fucking ugly, right?
Yeah, he basically said when he played juniors in Halifax, he was so ugly he couldn't get laid.
That I didn't know that was the Timo Meier. That's fucking hilarious. I love that. Seattle, did nothing. Sticking with the city that they're from.
Ron Francis.
St. Louis, they claimed Kasperi Kapanen off waivers from Pittsburgh. They got Jacob Vrana, Zach Dean. Was Zach Dean's Vegas's first ever pick? Why do I recognize that name?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Are you talking about the first pick or the first person they ever like signed?
I think the first person they ever signed.
No, because that kid's name was something really stupid. It was Reed Duke. It was Reed Duke.
Okay. And they got Mikhail Abramov, Adam Gaudette, a first from Toronto and a third from Ottawa, and a 2024 second from Toronto. We talked about the Blues a little bit earlier. I have something for you. I think I would be fully in on being a Blues fan. Like, as my Western Conference team, the moment Jordan Binnington isn't their goalie anymore.
That's a fair statement. He needs to get his ass kicked, that kid. Good Lord.
I don't know, dude. I've been to a few Blues games, dude. I like the atmosphere of the people that go to the Blues games. And I think you guys would too. Like if you're and I know you probably hate the Blues. Granted, I understand why. But like if you were to go to a Blues game and you saw the people that were like cheering and shit, you'd be like, okay, this is a team I can fuck with.
Toasted Ravs. That's the big thing in that city, right?
Dude, and they get after it.
Bud Bush, right?
Bud Select, man. Tampa Bay, Giordano, he fucked some dude up the other day, like bad. Stillman, right?
Crazy uppercut.
Speaking of fight, we didn't talk about this. I don't know if it's on the fucking list or not. Who was the dude on the Providence Bruins who got his face caved in?
McLaughlin.
Was he up in the NHL? Didn't he score?
He came up. I think he scored like 3 goals in his first 4 games or something like that last year. There's no room for him, and that video's not helping.
No.
He's a local kid too. I think Bill Ricca, maybe.
Yeah, he is.
To the 5-year plan, Toronto, they got Ryan. Actually, let's talk about Tanner Jeannot in Tampa, dude. Are you guys scared about that? I think what Tampa did is they saw Toronto get all like these fucking prestigious kind of people and be like, okay, well, they're going to be talented, but now we're just going to bully the fuck out of them. That's kind of the vibe that I got from Tampa. Like, I think they made this deal because of what Toronto was doing.
The difference maker for Tampa versus Toronto is the Corey Perry, Pat Maroon line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Toronto doesn't know what to do with that.
Vasilevsky would be my game breaker in that series.
I do agree. I think Jeannot will be good for them. Tampa's D kind of scares me this year. It's kind of different. You know what I mean? Like without McDonough, whatever. That's irrelevant. The other guy that they got from St. Louis, Mikey Eismont, I don't know, Brownie. When the Bruins played the Sharks, he had like 4 penalties. He right now is centering the 4th line. I feel like he's a good candidate to be like a Ross Colton. He's just like scrappy.
Everybody says that about Ross.
Does anybody like Ross Colton ever?
I actually kind of like Ross Colton. Like UVM, I like Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Sick barn. I love UVM's arena.
You want to go to the 5-year plan now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan O'Reilly and Nola Chari, pretty good pickups for them. They got them.
I really wanted the Bruins to bring back Achari. I love Achari.
They got a third from the Islanders, Luke Shen from Vancouver, Eric Gustafson, and a first from Washington, Radim Zohoma from Calgary, and Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty, a 2024 fifth, and a 2025 fifth. They did a lot.
Yeah.
I'm losing my voice.
This is fucking Dubas worried about his job. I'm putting everything in the middle. Let's go.
This is it.
Yeah.
Right? It's this year.
I agree. Like, Achari's a good pickup. O'Reilly definitely makes sense. McCabe, Shen, and Gustafson, like,
hate it.
I think the Maple Leafs are carrying 9D. I still think they have, like, a weird D core.
Yeah, they got all the scraps. They got every scrap, and everybody was making a huge thing. I guess McCabe's, like, pretty good analytic-wise, and everybody thinks he's sick.
You bought shots.
Who the fuck is Jake McCabe, dude? Like,
come on, bro. I'm pretty sure he was a captain of World Junior team, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I like Jake McCabe, but the reality is Jake McCabe on a good team is probably like a sixth defenseman. Yeah. Also, like, out of all of the Leafs young D, I think my favorite was Rasmus Sandin.
Yeah, and he went to
yeah.
Like, I don't know. What they did on forward makes sense. Their D confused the shit out of me.
I agree. Speaking of confusing, Vancouver, Philip Roenick and a 2023 fourth from Detroit, and they signed to like this huge deal. Anthony Beauvillier, who's outscoring Bo Horvat, A2 Ratty, which is that one prospect that the Islanders were just stroking off for a while, and a conditional 2023 first round, top 12 protected, becomes unprotected if it slides to 2024. They got a fourth round from the Devils, a third round from Toronto, and future considerations from your New York Rangers. I don't know. Is there a more relevant team in the league than Vancouver?
Love to see it.
Yeah.
I don't get that team at all. Like, what are they trying to accomplish?
They have no idea, dude. They have no idea what they're accomplishing.
They're rudderless, you know.
I will never. They were talking Vancouver Canucks fans after the bubble. I think they won one round. There was one we were in Martha's Vineyard. Ked, do you remember that? Like, Vancouver was like electric in the bubble for like a series or two, and their fans were acting like it was like legitimately a dynasty coming alive. Yeah. And they've just sucked.
Dude, the Vancouver's delusional. Their former players, what was the ceremony with who was that defenseman with the Superman punch? Bieksa. When he talked about the tradition of winning. And look, what the fuck did you win? You didn't win any cups.
I know. They're just such a weird franchise.
Did you guys beat them in 7 games? It's amazing how one game really just defines how you feel about an organization. It's fucking crazy.
They were dirty, and you know the Bruins played clean.
Okay, all right. Vegas.
Can I really quick? Did you hear? I think it was Colby Armstrong. His kid was like in the Pee Wee tournament in Quebec a couple weeks ago. His team made it to like the semifinals. His kid's team, and they played Ryan Kessler's team. And I guess Kessler had them decked out in all like Detroit Red Wings gear. Like they rebranded. He was like super like. Can you imagine like Ryan Kessler coaching youth hockey? It's probably the worst.
Did you guys ever listen to the interview with him?
Huh?
On which one?
I think it was Chicklets he went on.
No, I'm done listening to interviews with players that I don't like because I don't want to like them.
Fair.
I'm done with that.
I'm okay.
I don't think Kessler made me like him though.
I hate Kessler and I don't want to listen. It happened with Pat Maroon. Like I hated Pat Maroon. I heard an interview and I'm like, what a fucking nice guy. Like I could have beers with Pat Maroon.
You wouldn't think Kessler was a nice guy, but I think you'd respect him a little bit.
No, I don't want to do that either. I knew someone who went to college with him and he was a fucking douche in college too.
We're at the 2-hour mark, so you guys probably hate me for this, but I never got to say my piece on this. Pat Maroon crying about Jack Edwards made me so mad. And the fact that Jack Edwards went into the locker room and like apologized to him and he wouldn't accept the apology.
He didn't apologize to him, dude. He got on a knee.
I know, bro. He kissed his shoe. It was wild. And then on top of that, I listened to Pat Maroon go on Spit and Chicklets. He couldn't even name the charity that he was donating to like fight fight people like Jack Edwards. Like it was all like publicity, and he like cried. I used to be a Pat Maroon guy, Glens Falls Civic Center. Like he was electric.
I've been out on Pat Maroon for a little bit because of what I had heard happened to him when he was in Adirondack and why he left Adirondack. I haven't been a Pat Maroon guy for a little bit because of that. And then this just kind of, it makes sense to me hearing all this shit.
Allegedly.
Vegas, Teddy Bluger, Ivan Barbashev, and Jonathan Quick.
Vegas quietly had a good trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Jack Eichel.
Did he just walk away?
Yeah, I think Hal tapped out. So thanks for coming. We have two more teams. Washington, Rasmus Sandin from Toronto. They got your boy Craig Smith. And then
a bunch of picks.
And then Winnipeg, Nino Niederreiter. I really like Nino Niederreiter, dude.
Good player.
I think he's kind of a fun player to watch because he's hard to play against too.
Yeah, he's a prick out there.
And one of my least favorite players, Vladislav Nemestikov. He was on the Rangers. That guy did ridiculous. Holy shit, that's trade deadline. Brownie, we're gonna skip dump and change.
Okay.
We're at 2 hours right now.
Wait, what's dump and change?
We just talk about miscellaneous shit.
So what are we going to?
Do you want to do skip dump and change or skip the Bruins and Rangers since we're
definitely skipping Bruins Rangers. I think everyone said their piece. Am I allowed to do that as a host? Was that cocky? Like as a guest?
No.
All right, dump and change, dude.
All right, so dump and change. Hold on, I gotta maneuver my papers now.
I'm gonna grab a water. Keep going.
See, this is what he does, Hal, when I'm talking. He gets up and walks away.
5 minutes.
So rude. It's honestly so rude.
Dump and change. All right, so we got AJ McCarron, took less money to be a starter in the XFL than a backup in the NFL. Said his main motivation was so his kids could see him play. At the time of this, he was 2-0 and led his team in back-to-back last-minute wins. So good on him. It's a nice story.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
RIP to Pete Frates, who was diagnosed with ALS back in 2012 at the age of 27. The former BC baseball player inspired millions with his Ice Bucket Challenge to raise money for ALS research. Frates raised more than $100 million in his time before succumbing to the disease late in February at the age of 34. So
dude, I'm not being an asshole. I thought he passed away a really long time ago. This just happened?
Yeah, February. Yep.
Damn. All right.
Yep.
Wait. What?
Are you sure, Brownie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, yeah, he did.
All right.
Yeah. Johnny Damon suited up for the Savannah Bananas last week at age 49. He lined out to third, but embraced the vibe as he participated in all the choreographed dance moves and did his own dance during the walk-up. If there was never a player... Go ahead.
Pete Frates passed away in 2019.
Yeah, he passed away in 2019. Yeah, dude. I was like...
Who just passed away then?
Was it Chris? Did Chris Snow pass away? Chris Snow is a guy who was like in the front office for the Flames. He had ALS. He's very similar story. Really nice guy.
It was Pete Frates. Did you just double check that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, there's a live mea culpa. We don't have to put it on for next week. James Harden of the Philadelphia 7. I'm just gonna plug wrong. What?
I'm really sorry. I just feel like a huge asshole if I don't say Chris Snow didn't pass away. So I just wanted to share that because I would feel pretty rude doing
that.
Let's
not for sure.
Name and names. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So James Harden of Philadelphia 76ers FaceTimed with and sent game-worn sneakers to John Howe, one of the students critically injured in the Michigan State shooting. I gave him my number, so whenever he feels like he needs anything, he can call me. Howe was paralyzed from the waist down. This is another one of those things. Harden didn't have to do it. It's a good guy there. This guy did pass away. RIP to actor Tom Sizemore. Passed away from a brain aneurysm and a stroke at the age of 61. The character actor was known for playing edgy roles in both the lead and as a supporting actor. He appeared in such classics as Heat, True Romance, Wyatt Earp, and Saving Private Ryan. Do you guys know who he is?
Saving Private Ryan. He wasn't he the dude who like the guy threw a helmet at him, so he threw a helmet at the guy and then he shot him.
He was the guy who collected the dirt from every beach. Remember?
Let me look.
He was Tom Hanks' like second in command.
Oh yeah, I just looked him up. I know who this is.
Was I right or no?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, dude, that guy was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the thing I was talking about. The call from Marvel has reached Letterkenny. An online post has gotten some heat as it called for Jared Kiso, who plays Wayne, to be suggested as the new Wolverine in the expanded Marvel universe when they recast that.
I'm going to be selfish and say I hope he doesn't get it so we can keep getting Letterkenny and Shoresy and have him dedicate his time towards that because it's so fucking funny.
That's fair.
I don't understand the Marvel world at all.
I don't either.
Oh, that's not bode well for our 3 stars. You maybe could have told me this 2 hours ago. R.I.P. to Richard Belzer, stand-up and actor who passed away at 78. He played Detective John Munch on Homicide: Life on the Street and kept the character going across 9 other shows, which is something that's never been done. He lived out his last years at his home in Southwest France and had a number of health issues. He credits his rescue dogs for keeping him going to the end. Per his longtime friend, a writer named Bill Sheft, Belzer's last words were "fuck you, motherfucker," and then passed away.
He was the dude on Law and Order.
Yeah, but so this character that he played, Detective John Munch, started on this show called Homicide: Life on the Street that took place in Baltimore, old show, and he kept this character going across 9 or 10 different shows, which is something that's never happened, which is kind of a cool thing.
And he's kind of like a legend. Because when I looked that up, like I know him. Law and Order sucks now, but there was like a point in time where him and Ice-T were like an all-time top like detective duo. But I was looking him up. You know how everyone in Hollywood hates Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
They did like a roast of Chevy Chase in like 2002, and this guy was in it, and you should watch his speech because he like shits on him the entire time. It's great.
Oh yeah, I'll watch that because I don't like Chevy Chase. Never have.
Christmas Vacation, great movie, right? But I was.
All right, so Chevy Chase to me is on the same plane as Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah.
I like Will Ferrell like in doses, right? Like Chevy Chase in doses. I cannot stand Will Ferrell when it's all him all the time.
I couldn't disagree more.
I'm just telling you.
I've never been a Chevy Chase guy. I think he's one of the most unfunny people ever. I don't like the Christmas movies he's in. Will Ferrell's hilarious, dude. Everything that guy's
in small doses. When he's the lead, it's too much. Like, dial it back, buddy.
Will Ferrell in the movie, what was the one with Luke Wilson, Old School?
Perfect example. He's great in Old School because he's not the lead. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Fair.
You're making my point.
All right, so we're gonna skip Rangers, Bruins, Northeastern Hockey. Go for it.
All right, I'll rattle through this. So Northeastern, they won the Hockey East Championship. This is their 6th straight Hockey East Championship, which is a huge thing. There's 3 girls on the team that are graduating as grad students that have won 5 years. They have never lost a Hockey East playoff game for 5 years. Alina Mueller, Chloe O'Rourke, and Mia Brown. Alina Mueller and Chloe O'Rourke were both on the podcast. Not a big deal. They head to Yale in the NCAA first round on Saturday, the number 5 seed to play the number 4 seed. Winner of that gets to the Frozen Four out in Duluth. How are they
a number 5 seed? Aren't they the best team in the United States?
So the problem is Hockey East has not been very good the last few years for women's hockey. Yeah. So when they play these teams, they don't get the credit. It was funny, dude. When I go to these games that aren't at Matthews, I get brought into like the press conferences and stuff, and I'm sitting with like real people who do this journalism like for a job. And I was sitting next to Kat, I don't remember her last name, super nice lady, but she's like, "Oh, you're Brownie for the Morning State. I follow you on Twitter." And I was like, "Hey, thanks." And she's asking like serious questions, so I'm like making like scribbles on my paper so it looks like I'm taking notes. All I want to do is ask my question. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So funny. But anyways, so let me just run through these. So Gwynn Phillips, the goalie, single season program record for minutes played. So leads the nation in goals against, save percentage, and wins. Named as a top 10 Patty Kaz finalist, Hockey East All-Star Team, Hockey East Goaltender of the Year, and the Hockey East All-Tourney Team. Just lights out. She's actually statistically playing better than Erin Frankel did last year, which is amazing. Alina Mueller, who was on the podcast, she's the 3-time Olympian. Named to the Hockey East All-Star Team, another top 10 Patty Kaz. She's been a top 10 for Patty Kaz all 5 years of her time at Northeastern. Hockey East Tourney MVP, Hockey East All-Tourney Team. Set the NU program record for scoring and counting. Hockey East record for points and assists. Won the Hockey East scoring championship for the 3rd time and was named the Hockey East Player of the Year for the 3rd time. Just an absolute weapon. This is the girl, Hal, who scored the Olympic goal at 15, which is the record for the youngest hockey goal. Megan Carter, named to the Hockey East All-Star Team, ROTC Defender of the Year, Hockey East Best Defender, Hockey East All-Tourney Team.
Wait, what's his ROTC Defender of the Year?
The ROTC, like they give out a
Yeah,
defender
it's
of the year.
fucking sweet, dude. Megan Carter's my favorite player.
What's funny is she's Canadian, so
No.
I think that's hilarious that she got the ROTC.
Wow. Okay.
Is this a terrible take? Weren't like ROTC kids kind of like how many of them actually served? You know what I mean? I feel
I think you have to now. I think if you go ROTC, you have to serve.
Talking stolen valor on the podcast right now, Hal?
No, Ken, are you serious? Weren't there ROTC kids at like Siena?
Yeah, but you have to serve.
You have to serve. You get discounted school or money off, and then
and you have to wear like the. Do you know if she has to wear the uniform around campus and shit?
She's not in ROTC. ROTC just gave her they sponsor the award.
I always just thought
and she's Canadian, so she's not in ROTC.
Okay, all right.
I always just thought she was like, or ROTC was just like a club of enthusiasts. So I apologize.
You thought there were just like little militias at each college?
Dude, that's what I just assumed.
All the ROTC kids are out marching with tiki torches. Maureen Murphy was named to the Hockey East All-Star team. She's also a top 10 Patty Kaz and named to the Hockey East All-Tourney team. Chloe O'Rourke, who was also on the pod, named to the Hockey East All-Star team, active NCAA leader in power play goals, and set the NU record for shorthanded goals.
Okay, so this is my new favorite player. I'm sorry, Megan Carter. She's been on the podcast, and she's a special teams specialist.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. Maud Pauline LaBelle was named to Hockey East All-Star team. She's a grad student from UVM, transfer. Abby Marone named to the Hockey East All-Star. Katie Knoll, friend of the podcast.
You like Katie Knoll. Okay.
Katie Knoll, Katie Knoll. Katie Knoll does Katie Knoll things. Named to the Hockey East All-Star team. Also, she just got 100 career points, too, so good for her. Good for Katie. Lily Shannon was named to the Pro Ambitions All-Rookie team, who almost redshirted this year, I think. So good on her. Peyton Anderson named to the Hockey East All-Tourney team. And head coach Dave Flint won the Hockey East Coach of the Year again. So that was a lot. I understand, and I apologize, but they deserve their credit.
Yeah, dude, they deserve it.
Yeah. And they're, like I said, I'm going down Saturday to Yale. Ked, you want to meet me at Yale? 3:00 Saturday afternoon?
No, dude. I'm sorry.
I'm waiting on my press pass. So
I need to fucking. All right, I'm gonna search something. Let's do beer league roundup. Brownie, you go first.
All right. I didn't play. Go ahead.
Okay, Hal, what about you? What's been going on?
Not much, dude. I just still need a stick. I'm still using a broken stick. So really quick.
I got my new stick.
So
what's Northeastern ice rink called again?
What's what?
Do you see my curve here? How it's like chipped at the edge? Like,
yeah.
So the other day I couldn't figure it out till after the game. I like kind of gave a guy like skating through the neutral zone just kind of like a whack at the hands, and he was like, "What the fuck was that?" I couldn't figure it out. This thing's like a dagger. Like I like stabbed him by accident. So
do you have no tape? Do you not tape your stick?
It's untaped right now because I was. Oh. Yeah, I went through a thing. I was contemplating breaking it last night.
Did you see the whole thing with Tyler Bertuzzi? How he doesn't tape his the shaft of his stick and he has no stopper? And they asked him why. He goes, "I'm lazy, so I don't tape it."
That's wild.
What's Northeastern's hockey rink called?
Matthews
Arena, right?
Yeah, historic Matthews Arena.
3-hour drive. Sheesh. Okay.
Well, they're not playing there. They're playing at Yale.
I know. I'm just looking up to see.
New Haven, gross.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Beer league. Let's see. We won. I'm gonna get chirped right now because I tried the Michigan and Hal called me a fucking hardo for trying to do that. Almost.
No, I called you a hardo because it was Monday morning. I was trying to get through my 8 a.m. emails, trying to get into the work week. And Ked's clipping live barns of him trying to do it.
Oh, you make it you act like you're the only one who saw it. We all got the clip.
It was a sick clip, dude. It would have been way cooler if it fucking went in. But yeah, season's winding down. We got a W. That was pretty nice. It's pretty much all I have, dude. Honestly, not too much beer league wise.
I will say, between your red pants, your fucking name on your stick, and you trying the Michigan, I would either be trying to kill you or getting in the way of everybody that was trying to kill you if I was on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? Because, like, I agree with that take. No, there weren't like too many instances of people trying to fight you. I would say like when you were younger, like in your prime, like it definitely happened, but I wouldn't say it was like highest on the team. You know what I mean?
When I played like real hockey.
Or just like when we played like Navy Molson like back in the day.
Well, yeah, because we also had degenerates that were hammered drunk trying to put people through the fucking glass, and I was one telling them to do that. They just missed that part. Yeah. All right, Dom Morris, heroes and zeros.
Hey fans, this is Dominic Moore. I'm just going to take you guys through a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff here.
I'm just going to go first. I have a 0, and that's it. George Parros is a fucking coward.
Oh, yeah.
Austin Watson buries Tyler Mott, puts his head into the fucking glass. Nothing. Keandre Miller gets 3 games. Mott has a concussion. No suspension. So I kind of went off on Twitter, dude. I got in his kitchen. I probably tweeted about fucking 30 different things at him, calling him a rat, telling him that Princeton was the Hudson Valley Community College of Ivy Schools, that being 6'5", you'd think you'd have one entertaining fight. I got so wild up. I'm on the phone with Fever Boy Rex. I'm like, I'm going to call him. So I call the NHL offices. They pick up. I'm like, can I talk to George Parros? And before you know it, they're connecting me to George Parros. And I hung up. I wasn't expecting that. My cage was rattled. So Rex is pretty much telling me he's never been this disappointed in me in his entire life. So I call Brownie and I tell Brownie the whole fucking story. And he's like, dude, you have to call him. So we called him. Brownie was on the call. He was on the 3-way call, and I left him a message. And I was like, hey, listen, this is Ked from Morning Skate. We're not too pleased with what was going on with your ruling on Austin Watson, and we want to see if you want to issue a comment about this. So call me back. I gave him my phone number. Never called me back. He's a fucking coward. He's bad for the game. I would put this right up there. I mean, we're worried about concussion, safety, all this shit that's spewed out every 2 seconds about hockey, and you have some guy who's supposed to be protecting the players doing the exact opposite. He's a coward. He's a joke. There's no reason that guy should have any sort of job. I can't believe he would ever even played in the NHL. I'm fucking out on George Parros.
The most shocking part to this whole thing to me is that you literally twice called the NHL and they were like, good afternoon, NHL. And you were like, can I speak to George Parros, please? And they're like, hold on one moment.
Yeah, didn't even ask what it was. That's what it was. Like, yeah,
right. I mean, you got his voicemail and you left him a message, but it was, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, do you think that the guy who like sends the calls there just doesn't like him? And he's like, yeah, dude, here's George.
I think it's the NHL. I think if we call the NFL, there's no way we're getting to someone.
No. So actually, if you guys are listeners of this, give George Parros a ring and tell him and let him know that you think it's bullshit that what happened to Austin Watson. Just Google NHL offices, give them a quick call, ask to speak to George Parros, and they'll transfer you right to him. Allegedly.
Yeah. I hope you get like sued.
Why would you wish that? I'd much rather have George Parros call him back and be like, I'm not going to come on the podcast, but I would like to fight you.
Yeah.
The sick, entertaining fights, Parros, are just going to fucking wrap me up and wait for a referee to get there like your whole fucking career, bud. Sick mustache. Move on.
I will agree, though. That was probably one of the more like crazy. He did not get a suspension hits that I've seen in recent memory.
Yeah.
Right to the dome.
Right to the dome. Directly through his head.
Right
and
to the dome.
I know there's a precedent for it, but it's pretty hard to swallow, no pun intended, when someone just got suspended 3 games for spitting and then someone else's head gets knocked off.
And then on top of that, Tyler Mott's out of the lineup. The NHL wouldn't let the Rangers recall somebody up on emergency cap because they said that they knew what they were doing with Patrick Kane that they should have been able to do that, but because they made that decision, they couldn't call somebody up. Maybe. Even though one of their players' heads got bashed into the fucking glass, and you're out here talking about, oh, we're trying to protect players. Also, another 0. I'm going to keep going. PK Subban's a fucking dickhead, dude. That guy on ESPN, ABC, whatever the fuck they have on, him coming at Messier like he has any sort of fucking, like, they're asking about dirty hits. He's one of the dirtiest players to ever play the fucking game of hockey, and they're asking him if a hit's dirty or not, or if a play's dirty or not. Get the fuck out of here. And then
did he answer his cell phone on camera or something? I saw someone bitching about that. Someone was tweeting about that PK answered his cell phone. Was it a bit or something?
I don't know. He's a fucking loser, dude. I'm out on PK Subban. Shocking. But those are my 2 zeros of the week. Parros and Subban. Oh, wait. Sluban. Fucking asshole.
Do you think if Chris Drury had spent more time in math class and not on the Little League fields, you guys wouldn't be in cap hell right now?
No, I think we made a calculated play. I just think that we were expecting the league to have our back when they talk about how they're trying to eliminate concussions and CTE when they're getting sued for that left and right by Daniel Carcillo. You'd think there'd be like some sort of, oh, hey, maybe we should try to put a stop to this. Oh, you want to know what Watson? You did. You're fine. And not only did they not suspend him, by not suspending him, they're essentially telling the referees that they made the wrong call on the ice. So way to throw your guys under the bus too. So
I just think it shows that the Harvard GMs are smarter than the BU GMs. But
I mean, you guys are gonna have the new NHLPA guy in your back fucking pocket. So moving on. Heroes and zeros. What do you guys got for me?
Hal, you got a 0?
No, I don't. I have a hero. Should I just do my hero?
I'll do my 0. Then we'll come back with the heroes. So my 0, real quick. I'm not going to name this customer, but I just recently worked for a customer, and they smoke in the house.
Okay.
And all my fucking drop cloths are sitting out on my front walkway right now. They've been there the last 4 days since the snow stopped because they fucking reek of cigarettes.
It can't be. It's their home. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do in their home.
Disgusting. When you see me putting on a fresh coat of paint and you go, wow, that's all really yellow. When you take your picture down as an outline, what do you think your lungs look like? Don't fucking smoke in the house.
I don't know, man.
I'm kind of a big take it outside guy. Take it outside.
I'm literally rolling out a ceiling, and this customer was sitting in a chair lighting a dart going, wow, it's so much cleaner. I'm like, you think? So that's
and also, Ked, I remember Sheriff smoking cigs on the porch.
No, he used to fucking hack it up inside all the time.
The new house?
Well, no, the new house he would hack. He hacked one outside and he accidentally lit the side of the house on fire. So my mom put a kaput to the whole smoking cigarettes after that. So I'll never forget. I came home, Brownie, one day, and he's sitting on a chair outside our screen glass or sliding glass doors, and he has the chair here, and then behind him he has a towel, 3 towels like draped. I don't know if he stapled them to the side of like the house. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, what do you mean nothing? Like, what the fuck is this? And I pick it up and the entire fucking thing is burnt. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, we had a problem. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, well, I don't want your mom to see. And I was like, she's going to fucking see it, dude. Like, what are you talking about,
man? With a camouflage towel?
Yeah. No, shout out to the sheriff. Missed that guy. Good call, Al.
All right, go ahead with your hero, Al.
My hero, I was just going to say thank you guys for having me back on the podcast. I just felt like talking hockey. I was trying to just kind of rip some stats off, and I talked way more, and I probably elongated this podcast. But
good podcast.
It was nice to talk hockey.
Yeah.
We haven't had a 2.5 hour one in a while.
I'll go my hero then. You have a hero, Ked, or no?
You go. I can try to think of one.
So there was this Swedish mom, Emma Scholes. She had 6 kids, and there was a house fire, and she saved all of them while only in her underwear. She went from room to room, went through the house floor by floor to get each one of the kids. She was burned over 93% of her body and was losing skin in the rescue effort, but all the kids out. Her quote was, if I birth 6 kids, I'm going to get all 6 of them out. The kids ranged from a baby to 11 years old at the time. She was honored recently at the Swedish Heroes Gala after spending 3 weeks in the hospital on a respirator and another 6 weeks in the hospital after leaving the burn unit. So shout out to Emma Scholes.
Yeah, I'm not going to come up with a hero because it's not going to be anything like that. That's pretty cool. Shout out to her.
Unbelievable. I read that story. I was like, holy shit.
I'm a bear, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, last segment, 3 stars.
All right, Jim and Mike, thanks very kindly. A nice weekend for you. As always, our 3-star selectors are stars of the hockey scene wherever we go in Rogers Hometown Hockey.
Get ahead of this, and I'm just going to say I don't think Hal or I have any of these. Hal, do you have any?
Unbelievable. You could have both voiced an objection earlier. We're 2:27 in at the actual segment, and now you guys are like, "Oh, I didn't do the homework."
Well, no. Well, we can piece together the puzzle. I have a villain. Hal, do you have any?
So it's Marvel? Is it superhero?
No, I said just any superhero.
So I'm gonna rattle one.
All right, so let me say what it is. So in honor of the story about Jared Kiso being maybe tapped to play Wolverine, we said what NHL players what could you see them as a superhero or a supervillain?
All right,
So-
I'm gonna name one right now. Ready?
Go ahead.
Tony D'Angelo as Homelander.
Oh, that's a good one.
Have you ever seen The Boys, Hal?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch
Yeah,
that.
you'd
show,
like
dude.
that, I think.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck you, dude! That show is so goddamn good. It's hilarious. Like it's superhero, so it's kind of like weird, but like, dude, that should be on your next shows to watch. Like, definitely.
Oh,
I could
speaking of shows
pretend
to
it-
watch, I watched two things. One, I watched a documentary about the Baltimore Ravens back in like the 2000, like the Bullies of Baltimore. Really good, really good. And I watched this movie called Let's Kill Ward's Wife. Super like black comedy. Was pretty funny, but it made me think of an older movie called Very Bad Things, which I highly recommend to you both.
Okay.
So there you
All right, what do you got for a star, Brian?
Well, I got a whole bunch of them because I just was rattling them off while I was working. I got let's see here. Oh, here you go. One for you, Ked. Ryan Lindgren, Thor.
I like that.
Ugh.
I like that a lot.
He
That's
could
a
be
little.
Thor. He looks like him kind of with the mustache and
I like that. I can see that. I have another one. Hal, do you have any?
No.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm working.
why did I come on?
Have
Now
you
he's
guys-
regretting everything.
Have you guys ever seen Umbrella Academy?
Yeah.
All right, so you know in the third season, there's that dude where if you punch him in the face, it hurts your own face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make that Austin Watson because I don't think that guy's ever won a fight in his entire fucking life. So that would be my second star.
Oh my god. All right, I'm gonna go with Patrice Bergeron for Batman. I just feel like Bergeron could do anything, like Batman.
Oh my god! All right, dude. Hal, do you have another one? I have another one.
No, you can go.
Cabo Bura is gonna be Flash, dude.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's
There
a
we
really
go.
good one.
There's my 3 stars. Look at that, dude. Witty. You said I was witty at the beginning of the show, or maybe pre-show, but I think it might be right. So
Keandre Miller at Aquaman.
because he spits on people.
I don't know, dude. I'm strong.
Well, you know what's funny that you say that? I had David Perron as Aquaman because he's such a squid.
What else do you got? Because I know
That was my honorable mention.
Okay, what do you got for your number 1?
Well, I'm torn. All right, I'm just gonna list them. I got Ty Domi as the Penguin because he just reminds me of the Penguin.
Okay.
I got who's the other one? Oh, I got Ryan Reeves as Black Adam. You know, the new with The Rock was Black Adam, that new movie.
Okay.
And then my number 1, Jerome McGinley as Captain America.
He's not from America.
Doesn't matter.
You're just gonna fucking Captain America is David Backus, bro.
I thought of that, but I don't see it.
Hal, thanks for your input here on our last segment.
I'm exhausted.
All right, two and a half hours later. Thank you guys for tuning in if you're still listening. Hal, do you have any other last words?
That's it, dude. I was just nice to you guys, so I think that was good.
All right. And Brownie.
Oh, I did find out I am a solid 2 steps away, friend-wise. I found out from Jerome McGinley. Legit solid traction to Jerome McGinley.
Have you been working on it?
A little bit here and there. I think this summer things are going to heat up.
Yeah. Well,
You're gonna see me and Jerome by poolside putting on his sunscreen.
dude, you know,
You're right,
if you just said you're going to be poolside drinking a beer, yeah. The moment that you say you're rubbing lotion on him, dude, is where I think you went from 2 friends to like about a dozen.
It's all good fun. He knows. I'm sure Jerome McGinley listens. I'm sure he does.
Oh my god,
And
dude!
Jerome, if you're listening, God bless
ever
you,
get
buddy.
him on the podcast, we should put together all the little clips of weird shit that you say about him and play that before he comes on.
No way. He'll never come on. What we do is we can play it and be like, look how Brownie held it together, and then play that the next episode.
All right, say it. You know,
I did. God bless you, Jerome McGinley. I know you're listening, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hope your daughter has a great season at Brown.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Trade Deadline Show. See ya.